And I'll just check it's going live. This meeting is being live streamed. And I'll just check it's going live. Yeah, it's okay. This meeting is being live streamed. So, and I've muted that. So that is live now with us all on. Can you all hear me all right still? Yeah, fab. Right, so what I'm going to do is share my screen. And then we'll get started.
Are you not starting the TikTok?
I'm going to start. I wanted to just join on live on Zoom first, okay. YouTube first, just to make sure that that was all right, because I've not done it before. And I think we are live now, so I'm going to start on the TikTok in a sec. And I'm going to share my screen. Like that. I think that's us good. And so now TikTok. And what I'm going to do is, I know that some of you guys was here for the first chapter. Some of you weren't, and some of the people on TikTok won't have been either. So I'm just going to give a short introduction about why I wanted to share the Emerald Tablets and about what happened in chapter 1. And I hope you guys don't mind me repeating myself, but just so that everyone's kind of aware of what has been going on. So I am live on TikTok as well. And also, what I was thinking is there'll be people commenting on TikTok. So they'll be able to hear you if you're chatting back and stuff when we're talking about the tablets. And if I'm talking to random people, it's going to be the people who are on TikTok as well. So we'll just basically have a nice conversation together. That is us live on there anyway. Hey. I'll wait till some more people join on there, see if anyone is on the YouTube. That is my screen shared. So what I'm going to do is just share just that screen there. Hey, TikTok guys. Let's check the YouTube and see if anyone is commenting on there. Right. Hey everyone. So we're basically going through the Emerald Tablets of Thoth the Atlantean. Anyone who's joined us on TikTok, hey. We're basically doing a live stream on YouTube at the minute. And we've got it set up as a live Zoom chat. So if you wanted to join and actually read the Emerald Tablets as we go through it, then feel free to join us on YouTube, and you'll be able to actually see our shared screen where you can actually read the tablets with us. I'm going to try my best to answer questions and comments on here as well as on YouTube. But just for the next one, if you did want to join, we've got a bit of a little group together on Zoom at the minute where we're able to actually interact properly. So what would be really cool is next time, if you did want to actually join us on the Zoom, then you could do that and we could actually hear from you guys as well. And it'd be easier for me to answer questions and stuff from there instead. So, hey, join us, welcome in. So I don't know if anyone caught me doing the first reading of the Emerald Tablets, chapter 1. I did it a few weeks ago. But the reason why I wanted to share the Emerald Tablets, I don't know if any of you guys have read it before, is because I started looking into basically spiritual enlightenment. I got introduced to it. And then like I started learning about the different religious texts and the different kind of texts that are just like literally all the historical texts. Really, I've noticed so much in there about spiritual enlightenment and this true divine wisdom and knowledge that has been hidden in these texts, it's like the truth that the ascended masters came down to teach every single time. And they've been hidden in these texts. And so now what's happened is people don't really know what enlightenment is, and they kind of look at the texts and they take them too literally, and they can't see the truth in them, kind of like reading between the lines. And so I wanted to share with you guys the Emerald Tablets because it's the first text that I read that I was just like, my mind was so blown away because I was learning about spiritual enlightenment. And then I read this and it was all like making sense, and it was all like underlining and confirming everything that I'd learned. And then I was like, wow, I must really be onto something here, because it's like a text from, I don't know how long ago they were, maybe 6,000 years or something, is confirming all this same stuff. So I wanted to teach about the Emerald Tablets and how they pertain to spiritual enlightenment, but not only that, but how we can actually achieve spiritual enlightenment in our own lives, which is the most important thing. It is something that everyone can achieve. And I was telling the guys on the Zoom chat, but say like Buddhism as an example. Buddhism talks about enlightenment. That's like the word enlightenment is kind of a Buddhist word, like that's what the Buddha taught about, and a lot of people talk about enlightenment in Buddhism, but it's something universal for everyone, and different religions have different names for it. I just call it enlightenment. Some people call it the holy science. If anyone's a follower of Santos Bonacci, they'll know about the holy science, or the sacred secretion, or things like that. And it's something that everyone can attain and achieve. So it's not just that the ascended masters came down to become enlightened and just to show off and be like wiser and more intelligent and more godly than everyone else. Like, what kind of ascended masters or enlightened masters would they be if literally they just come to pose? So the only reason these gods have come down to earth, because the earth is not the earth isn't heaven. It's not hell, but it's not heaven. It's like a middle plane. You can experience both heaven and hell on this plane. But the gods, the true gods, reside in the heavens above. So they don't choose to come here for fun. They would only come down to help people on earth, or the souls that are trapped on this plane, to ascend back up to heaven, because we are all made in God's image. We are all like gods and goddesses. We were stars. And what happened is we were all in like the Garden of Eden, which is like a heavenly plane. And what happened is the fall of man, or the fall from grace, like men descended. When I say men, like humanity descended. And what's happened now is we've descended down into such a dense place and a dense plane that people don't remember how to become gods and goddesses and go back to their godly and godly state. And so the ascended masters keep coming back down in different ages and at different times to teach us how to ascend and be like them and get back to our godly state, and to get back to God basically, and to go back to heaven. So some people think like that the earth is great, and it is really beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful sides to the earth, but it really is the middle ground. You can experience both heaven and hell, love and pain. Whereas in heaven, in the higher realms, you can literally just experience love. There is no pain. In the lower realms, it's kind of more pain with no love. And so like the earth isn't a place to want to stay and get stuck in. It's beautiful, and we are bringing heaven on earth back, so it will be a really beautiful future for us. But eventually we do all want to be getting back to God and going back to heaven. And so we want to ascend, really. And if you look at all of nature, it's always growing upwards. For flowers grow upwards towards the sun. Like everything just wants to go upwards and towards the sun. That's kind of how even our torus fields are. Doesn't it go up like that? Isn't that the way that the torus fields go? My friends on Zoom are nodding. So yeah. So everything is going upwards like that. And so everything wants to ascend upwards, and so should our souls. I'm just going to add moderator on my TikTok there. Confirm. So Derek, you should be a moderator now on there. Thanks. So Marina said I'm the first that she's seen talking about the Emerald Tablets. I'm glad you've joined us. And yes, it's a really good text. So just to like go through the first chapter really as a quick overview. The Emerald Tablets were written by a guy called Thoth. He was a kind of a king of Atlantis. He was a magician. He was an ascended master. And he's basically talking, the tablets open up by him saying that he was like basically in this blissful place. He was an ascended master. He was a magician. He was the king. And what happened is he ended up trying to teach his truth and help everyone else become ascended and enlightened also. And he reigned through generation to generation. And one of the things that we learn in the first chapter was that when you do attain spiritual enlightenment, you live forever, you don't die. And so he didn't have to like ever die. He was able to live as people around him were dying and being reborn, and people were getting stuck in this cycle of reincarnation. He reigned from generation to generation and basically tried to teach man how to become enlightened and to live like him. And he did manage it with a group of people. But what happened was there was others who, I don't know whether he'd managed it for the whole of the world and then people started to descend, but there was others who did end up descending. They kind of went away from the area. They must have fallen. And what happened is he talks in this first chapter about this great flood, which I don't know if it was the flood of Atlantis, but he talks about how basically the men of the world were not following by God's rules. They weren't enlightened. They weren't living by the true laws of the cosmos. And so God, who Thoth was connected to and Thoth was guided by God, God had brought this great flood to get rid of those who were basically corrupted. And so Thoth with his men who were all like enlightened and who had followed his teachings were all saved. And in fact, they were saved by, it says in this text, a spaceship came and saved them. And I wasn't sure what was going on because I'm like a flat earther and I didn't know how a spaceship could come into the dome and like actually save them. So this was something I was like surprised by when I read this text again. But people do talk about them being able to travel interdimensionally and coming into this dimension. Or it could be that it's a metaphor, like maybe they literally just astral projected and ascended into a different dimension or whatever it is. But they were saved, and the men were basically, the corrupted men were destroyed. And what happened was there were some guys that didn't get destroyed, so God must have thought they were okay and they had the light in them and they could have ascended. And so they basically started like a new, they started like almost like a new earth, but it was like a new civilization and started again really. So what I'm going to do is just open it up on the Zoom. Did anyone have anything that they want to add about that introduction to the tabs? If you do, I can't see any hands coming up. If not, I'll just. So what we'll do is go through the second chapter and start from there. So what he'd also said, which I found really interesting in the first chapter, is Thoth had said that he built the Great Pyramids through magic. And I was like, okay, wow, because the Great Pyramids, obviously, they talk about how it was slaves that made it and stuff like that, which we all know not to be true. But I kind of thought it might have been giants, or it could have been like alien technology or sound technology to move the blocks and things like that. But Thoth claims he built them through magic, and he cast a spell and the Great Pyramid was built, which I thought was quite cool as well, because it was a different theory than what I had thought of it or known. And what he'd also said he'd done is he'd built a chamber in the pyramids, and he'd put some kind of special crystal in there. And what he said was, if you were unaware, like if you're asleep and you're not awakened and you've not attuned your temple to enlightenment, you would walk in the pyramid and you would not notice anything, and it would literally just be like you're walking in a pyramid. But he said that if you were on the path, he said if you fasted for a long period of time, then you would go in and you would basically attain enlightenment. And he'd basically built the Great Pyramid as a portal to make people enlightened. And so in normal life, you can become enlightened. You have to follow a certain path, and I'll talk about it in a sec. But what he'd been able to do is, a lot of people, when they become enlightened, they have to go through like the trials and tribulations. So you know how like there's different stories of like Hercules having these 7 tests, or however many tests he had to do. And there's different stories of people having to overcome like their demons and have these fights in order to attain that hero-like status in the end. And in the seven kind of tests are like the 7 vices or the 7 virtues. And so what it is you've got your 7 chakras, and your chakras, they have positive and negative aspects, and they have like basically vices and virtues. And so some of them might be like, say, either like love or lust or something like that. I couldn't tell you right now what they are, but you have to overcome the negative aspects of each of your chakra in order to like fill them with light, overcome your demons, and ascend. Like basically, once your chakras are so filled with light and you've got rid of the negative, and you align your chakras, then your kundalini energy, which is what a lot of religion talks about as like the serpent, or it can be the dragon, like George slaying the dragon, or people talking about like this serpent in different like religions and stuff. It's your kundalini energy, and once your chakras are full of light, you can ascend your kundalini up to the crown chakra, and this is what makes you enlightened. But it can take a lot of work. Now there are shortcuts to enlightenment, and this is what Thoth did and brought to people. So Big Blue on TikTok saying your chakras are so full. That's good. So yeah, when your chakras are so full of light and you ascend your kundalini, you become enlightened. And Thoth gave a shortcut. So what he was saying is, if you walk into the temple, it will literally fill your chakras with light and ascend your kundalini and give you enlightenment in this moment, so long as your body is in the right kind of state for it. And what they talk about in religion is having your temple clean. So you guys on Zoom, anyone who's gone plant-based, you'll be aware of like the heaviness and the negative energy that animal products can bring in your temple. And they talk about there's religion that talks about taking your shoes off before you enter the temple, or cleanliness is next to godliness. And so you need to keep your energy and your physical temple. And I was saying in the last live, your temples is literally your temples in your mind here, and inside is obviously your pineal gland. That's your seat to God. That's where you can access the energetic realms and speak to God. And so if your temple, your physical body, and your body is the Holy Land, so if your physical body is clean and pure, so you've got good energy in you, you're not eating shit. And when Thoth talks about fasting in there, what he's talking about is when you fast for so long, you literally like clear out all your bowels and stuff. So if you've ever eaten animal products and it's stuck there, because it gets stuck there for years, if you fast enough, or what I would advise nowadays is to just do a juice cleanse and stuff as a quick way of doing it. But if you fasted enough, and I think that the actual period between whether you've eaten animal products, because animal products contaminate your soul and your blood. So if you have got them in your system, you need to wait 14 days for them to leave your system in order to attain enlightenment. So when Thoth talks about fasting, he's basically saying, if you have fasted, so you've got no animal products in your system, you've got no like junk food in your system. I don't know whether they even had junk food back then, but if you've got no like wheat and sugar in your system, no alcohol, and if you're clean, your energy's clean and stuff, what also happens when you fast, after you have fasted for 3.5 days, is your body goes into a state called ketosis. Now, ketosis aligns your chakras, and it also it gives you a chemical reset in your brain and in your gut flora and stuff. So what happens is, if you have fasted, you've had no animal products, your temple's clean, you're in ketosis, which means your chakras are fully aligned. When you walk into this temple that he's set up with a crystal and a portal or whatever it is, as soon as you walk in, because your temple is ready for enlightenment, that will literally send your kundalini up to the top, and it will make you an enlightened master, literally just from walking in that temple. And I would really love to see if it's still there, that technology, because you can still go in the Great Pyramid. I've not been myself, but it would be really interesting if you literally were in that state, if you go in, if you attain enlightenment or not. I don't know what you guys think about it on Zoom. Have you had any, have you been to the pyramids? Have you had any experience of it?
No, I've had friends I've always wanted to go, never been.
Yeah.
I remember when I forget how old I was exactly. It might have been 15 or 16 or so. I remember going on a family trip to somewhere in Mexico or close to South America. And I forget which pyramids these were, but this is probably the most experience I had with them personally, as well visiting. I really wish I remembered the name of those pyramids.
Chichen Itza.
That might have been it.
Yeah. Did you have any experiences in them?
Yeah, I don't recall having any major experiences, but I don't think it was probably even worth mentioning. But yeah, if I did, I wasn't completely aware of it.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like the more I've kind of been on my journey and like kind of like attuned my body, the more I've been like aware of these things. But if you kind of go and you're not like there yet and you can't really sense the energy and stuff, then it's different. But what I find interesting about the pyramids as well is they talk about them being like sound healing chambers, don't they? Like you could go in and like sing stuff and it echoes and it resonates, and people play instruments in them. And I've even heard of people going to stone circles. Obviously it's not the pyramids, but going to stone circles. And if you stand like in a circle with different people and chant different things, you can have someone in the middle of the circle who has literally lost a limb. And people have talked about being able to regrow limbs in the middle of these stone circles just through chants and energies and sound and stuff. Like, I've not seen it, I've not experienced it, I don't know if it's true, but this is what people talk about. And I do believe that the things have like, they almost need to be activated. And I really do believe in the healing power of these different things once they are activated. It's just kind of figuring out how to truly activate them. Dana, yes, join us if you can. Sarah, it would be so awesome, wouldn't it? Have any of you guys on TikTok been to the Great Pyramid? Someone on here has asked, do you believe in contacting the dead through mediums? Yeah, I definitely think people can. But I do believe as well, like, I don't know who's legit or not, so you would need to almost find someone that you trust. But I do definitely think that you can communicate with the dead, and you could even learn to do it yourself. I think everyone has the ability. You just need to practice and trust your intuition. So let's get on to actually starting reading the second chapter. I'm just going to mute you guys because I can hear myself talking. And I'm also just going to really quickly check YouTube. I love your content. Have learned so much from you. Thank you. Charity, Sharid, thanks so much. And thank you for joining us. Antoine, hello. Hey, YouTube guys. I'm going to try and read everyone's comments if I can. So we're just reading the Emerald Tablets. We're now on the second chapter. Theo said, I think they're all scam artists who use cold reading techniques to exploit others. It's possible that some are, but I do believe that, like, I've experienced being able to contact the dead. So I think that people can do it, and maybe try it yourself, because then you just know for sure. Miss Mamo, I love your jewelry. Thank you so much. I feel like it's a bit overkill, but it keeps me protected, you know. And what I really love is these rings at the minute. They're like little points. So if you're channeling your energy like that, it's like an extra little wand channeling your energy. And I'll show you guys on here, if I don't know if you can see that or not. I'm going to just unshare a sec so you can see that little chat point there. So it's like you channel your energy as you're pointing. Quite good. So back to business. So someone said, my friend who's totally aligned has been to Giza. He said he touched the stones and felt the energy. That's really good. Big Blue, I have been. The pyramids talk to my soul. That's so nice. I would love to go. Sure. Shek, do you think they use sound somatic to make or form the pyramids? I did think so. I did think they would use that to move the big bricks and stuff. And I definitely think that it's probably the way that they've built a lot of the megaliths. But I also think maybe giants. I also, in the Emerald Tablets here, Thoth was an ascended master. He was pretty much a god that came down, and he was a king and a magician. He said he created the Great Pyramid out of magic. So it's very possible. There's plenty of different ways how they were made. Meg, thanks so much. Yeah, giants, 100%. Victoria, hey, welcome. So I'm reading the Emerald Tablets. If you want to join on our YouTube, we've got a bit of a conversation going, and you'll be able to actually read the Emerald Tablets with us. But if not, just join us on here and have a listen. So I'm going to read the second chapter. This is called The Halls of Amenti. So when I was reading the first chapter, I felt like the Halls of Amenti might be in reference to becoming a god. And it's almost like these halls of like the gods and goddesses, and you're walking through these halls and you see all the different gods and goddesses. And it's like, once you become enlightened and you become a god, then you are almost walking these halls of Amenti. But I think that Derek might have been talking about it even being like the underworld, or I can't remember what we were saying about it last time, but we'll read it and we'll see what we think these halls of Amenti actually are. So I'm on YouTube, Sarah. If you wanted to join, you'll actually be able to read the tablets with us. And for anyone that wants to join the Zoom call next time, feel free. Just leave me your details on my website, and then we can join properly next time. So this is what chapter 2 says, the Halls of Amenti. Deep in the earth's heart lie the Halls of Amenti, far neath the islands of sunken Atlantis, halls of the dead and halls of the living, bathed in the fire of the infinite all. Far in a past time, lost in the space-time, the children of light look down on the world. See the children of men in their bondage, bound by the force that came from beyond. Know that they only by freedom from bondage could man ever rise from the earth to the sun. Down they descended and created bodies, taking the resemblance of men as their own. The masters of everything said after their forming, we are they who were formed from the space dust, partaking of life from the infinite all, living in the world as children of men, like and yet unlike the children of men. So just to kind of like go through that then, what they are saying is that there's basically children of God are the ones that didn't descend or have ascended, and they're basically like the star children or the heavenly children. And people talk about these beings coming down in this time, and the 3 different waves of volunteers to assist. Big Blue on here saying children of light are aliens, and children of men are us, so humans. And I don't know whether like humans and men exist, as their own beings with no like godly soul in them, because like I kind of thought we are all children of God until we descend, and then we're children of men on this plane. If we're stuck in reincarnation on this plane, we are literally children of men because we've not realized our godliness and our godly state again. But when we become enlightened again, we then become children of God again. I almost don't feel like it's fair to have like a set of beings who are children of God and then all the others are just children of men and they're not special and we are, or something. But I don't know. But what this is saying here is, and it reminds me of the song, there's a really good song, I love it at the minute, and it's called World Hold On, and it says one day you'll have to answer to the children of the sky, and it's saying like, world hold on, like, you know, come on, we need to sort our shit out one day, like the children of the sky, which is the children of God, or in here he's talking about the children of I'd have to find it again, the children of light. It's basically about saying that the beings from heaven will hold you accountable. So we need to sort our stuff out, and they'll come here to assist us in going back to heaven. And so here what he's talking about is, in his time, there was the beings from heaven who looked down on the world. They looked down on the state of the world. And this is what Thoth did. He came down to assist the children of men in basically ascending to become children of light and become children of God again. And there's loads of other beings that did as well. These are the ascended masters. These are us. Like, we're here to help humanity ascend. And so us star beings have probably been humans and trapped on this cycle of reincarnation, and it's possible that in past times we have actually ascended, and we've chosen as a volunteer to come back here to help others. And so the children of light look down on the children of men in their bondage, bound by the force that came from beyond. So men in their bondage, it's literally they're stuck in the cycle of reincarnation, and that's why they're still here. And only by freedom from that bondage could men ever rise from the earth to the sun. And you guys on Zoom, anyone who follows Santos Bonacci would know that you can become your own sun, and that is what enlightenment is. It's attaining, becoming a sun, becoming a star, becoming a god. Jesus Christ was the soul of the sun, and the sun is a living being, and it came down and incarnated on the earth as Adam Kadmon, as Jesus Christ, as Krishna, as Hercules, loads of different beings in all different times. And he basically came down as a human to learn how to become enlightened himself and to become his godly like state, his higher self, his sun. And the sun is all of our higher selves. So we all descend from God, from the sun, and we're all like small fragments, but we go up to like our higher self, being the sun and then being God. So we can all become the sun, and we can all become a Christ. And so the word Christ actually only means anointed or enlightened. So this is what he's saying, that the children of men can become sons and they can rise from the earth, but they must attain freedom from bondage, which is the cycle of reincarnation. When you become enlightened, you ascend the cycle of reincarnation. So true enlightenment is about overcoming the ego. And what is your ego? Your ego is your emotions. The word ego is energy go. The word emotion is energy in motion, emotion. And ego is energy go. So your emotions are your ego. And it's our emotional attachments that keep bringing us in the cycle of reincarnation again and again on this plane. Because what happens is when we die and we still feel like we were never that successful person we wanted to be, or we still feel like we miss our earth family, or we still feel like, oh, I could love to have 10 more pizzas, whatever it is that we're emotionally attached to on this plane, when we leave, our emotional attachments, these energetic cords that are connecting us to these things, drag us back here again. And so we need to learn how to become attached to those things. And that's why the Buddha always talks about attachment is the source of suffering. And so when you attain true enlightenment, it does it for you. So you can either try and do it by literally trying to meditate your way through letting go of all of these things. But when you're in your ego and in your emotions, it's hard to be out of them because you're in them, and it's a bodily reaction, it's an energetic reaction. So what your emotions are, they're literally just chemical release in your body, and it starts as an energy and then it's literally a chemical release. So what happens is, say one of the biggest cause and triggers of us being out of balance and in emotion is the orgasm. So what happens is, just to explain, when you orgasm, you ejaculate, or as a woman, you might not ejaculate, but when you orgasm, it's basically a spasm to your nervous system, and your nervous system spasms and you release a part of your soul, or part of your energy, you release it and it's gone out into the cosmos. That's called your chi. And that's why people talk about abstaining from orgasm and trying to build your chi, because when you're full of that life force energy and that chi, you can use it to be young, to live forever, to heal yourself, to cast spells, to manifest what you want. You're full of life and full of vibrancy, and so you want to save your chi. But when you orgasm, you get rid of a part of your chi, you get rid of a part of yourself, and also you have a chemical reaction where a load of positive, like, feel good chemicals are released, because it's trying to numb the pain from you giving a part of yourself away. When you lose a part of your soul, it's painful to your soul. So your body, this is why the orgasm exists, is it fills you with feel good chemicals so you don't feel the pain of losing a part of your soul. So you have this high of feel good chemicals, yeah. And then what happens is you should be in balance. You have the high, so you have all this high. And what happens then is your body then afterwards has these lows, because it's gotten rid of so many feel-good chemicals. It swings the other way, and suddenly you have a real low. And you need these feel-good chemicals again for your body to try and get back into balance. But because you're out of balance, it swings up and down, really high and really low. So when you have your lows, you then chase your next high, which might be an orgasm again. It might be food, it might be seeing that person that gives you that feeling, or you might be watching TikTok videos, but whatever it is, have that low, you chase for that high. So then you get the high again, you peak and you go low again, and you're constantly up and down like that. It's taxing to the body and to the nervous system, and it's a constant up and down of releasing of chemicals in your body. And it's almost like poisonous to your body because it causes stress on your body. And on an energetic level, it's constantly out of balance. And so when you find this centered balance of enlightenment, what happens is it stills your soul, and it cuts and stills this constant out of balance up and down. So you literally want to attain enlightenment. Your ego doesn't exist anymore, because the ups and downs of the emotional highs and lows, or the chemical addictions, don't exist anymore. So why enlightenment is so important is because it literally resets all of this. You're back into stillness, into godliness. Be still and know that I am God. Once your soul is still, then you are enlightened, and so then it cuts off the ups and downs, and it cuts off the emotional attachments, and so it basically escapes you from the matrix, because when you do pass, your soul is still, it goes back to God. It's not being pulled and swayed by the vibration of these different attachments that you have that are pulling you in different directions and stuff. So basically, he's talking here about only can men become sons when they become freed from the bondage, which is the bondage of their own ego and their own emotional attachments. These guys came down. These are the masters of everything. So the guys, the children of light that Thoth are talking about here, these are masters, these are ascended masters, and they have basically conquered the universe. They're masters of everything, and they have basically decided to come down and take this form, living in the world as children of men, so similar to them and yet unlike them. So their souls are so like divinely filled with love and light and positivity, and like so close to God, that they are unlike the children of men in that sense, but they're like them because they've taken that human form and they have to experience the human experience. And what happens is a lot of the light workers like us, we have to experience the hardships of being human. It's not easy peasy. We have to experience the lows, because once we do, we can really help others on their journey. We have to help others on their journey get through their own experiences. And if we're there, had the easiest life ever, then how could we possibly be there helping others if we've not really been through that hard time? And so, yes, it's walking the middle path, literally. So then, Dana, hey, thanks for joining us. I'm just going to mute you, but what we're saying to everyone is if you do have anything you want to talk about, just put your hand up and then we can bring you on and you can chat. Does anyone have anything that they wanted to add? So, Leah, I'm so glad you're enjoying this. Yes, someone said on here, Jodie, I'm so pleased. Someone said on here, we run into narcissists and realize we had a soul agreement before we came here. The funniest thing I've noticed is it's sometimes your soul contracts with your soul family or your twin flame that is the most difficult. It's like you like meet them and you're like, wow, this connection. And then you realize why you spent the past 2000 years away from them because they teach you so much. And sometimes it can be easy and sometimes it's hard, but all the lessons are the ones that help you grow. So Shannon, did you talk about the Emerald Tablets? Yes, we are reading them now. Thank you, Miss Mamo. So are you. So guys, let's get on to the next chapter. So basically, it's talking about the beings who have come here to assist in bringing the truth and enlightenment again. So then for a dwelling place far neath the earth's crust, blasted great spaces by their power, spaces apart from the children of men, surrounded them by forces and power, shielded from harm, they the halls of the dead. Side by side then, placed the other spaces, filled them with the life and the light from above. Builded they then the halls of Amenti, that they might dwell eternally there, living with life to eternity's end. 30 and 2 were there the children, sons of light, who had come among men, seeking to free from the bondage of darkness those who were bound by the force from beyond. Also, just to express, your ego is also obviously your emotional body and being out of balance. When you're out of balance and when your chakras are out of balance, they allow darkness in, and the devil is a literal entity, and demons are entities. They all exist, and we bring them into this plane through our through darkness in our chakras. Our chakras are portals through either light or darkness, and so they're talking about here about free from bondage of darkness, from a force from beyond. So it's literally forces from beyond the physical. It's the energetic realm, these dark forces that keep people in bondage and keep people trapped here because if you think about the things that we're addicted to in today's society, if you think about, say, like drugs, alcohol, like junk food and stuff, is it goodly, godly, divine light beings who are trying to trying to sell McDonald's food and create McDonald's food? And are they really trying to like help us? Or did whoever came up with McDonald's food think, right, how can we get these people addicted to this food so they eat as much as they can? So it triggers all the brain pleasure senses that things like heroin trigger in your brain, but from like a McDonald's burger. It's filled with shit, it's bad for your body, and yet what they want you to do is eat as much of it as you can because it makes them money, it's cheap for them to do it, it keeps you asleep. Like the beings that try and control this plane are of a dark nature, and it's from behind the scenes. Even those people that people would call elite, I won't call them elite, but even those people who have had control or power, they don't anymore. The ones who try to control this plane have all been of the darkness, and it's changing, but it has all been a spiritual battle, and it's all been basically beings from the darkness. Right, Andrew, thanks for that. I didn't see Derek's hand up. Derek, do you want to unmute and share what you wanted to say?
Sure, thank you. I just wanted to say that I think the halls of Amenti are the pineal gland and pituitary gland. So that would be when Jacob's ladder, when he rose up the ladder, there was angels and demons descending,
Mhm.
some going up, some going down. So those are your glands. That's
Mhm.
what your Kundalini energy is, rising up. And so that's where the seed, it says it plants a flower. And then the only other thing I just wanted to make mention is the children of light in reference to the Bible would be the tribe of Judah, who faces east towards the house of the rising sun. So I think like that would be your right side, your right brain. That would, you're sitting at the right hand. And then that lower mind is putting that all below you to sit at the top. So you're ascending up. That's why there's living, and I think it says living and dead, but that would be the pituitary and pineal glands. And that's all I had. I just wanted to throw that in there.
That's awesome. Yeah, honestly, that makes so much sense. And also with the glands, just if anyone doesn't know, the chakra system is actually aligned to your like 7 main glands. So each of the chakras has a gland associated with it. And your pineal and pituitary are key glands in the actual attainment of enlightenment. So that makes so much sense. Thanks for sharing that.
Also, last thing real quick, the children of the light of Judah, their numbers of their camp was 186,400, and the constant of the speed of light in miles squared is 186,400 exactly.
Really? That's funny, isn't it? It's funny how they take truths and then kind of like, do you think that it's true that that's the speed of light then, or do you think it's one of those science?
Well, if you look at it from meters squared, it's the exact true north coordinate of the Pyramid of Giza you guys were just talking about, 299.797.
Right, okay.
It's off by 1 meter, and it was built supposedly 6,000 years ago.
Right, okay. Crazy,
So
isn't it?
both of the numbers of light are both incorporated.
Right, okay, yeah. What do you think about this 30 and 2? Do you think that's a symbolism? It's not obviously just 32 light.
I think it's the 32nd vertebrae. So if you climb up Jacob's ladder, that oil it's crucified at the 33rd vertebrae.
Yeah.
So to me, 32, that's the one below it. That's where water is physical or is spiritual. Then it gets to 33, and or ice melts 32, 33, right? So water is a solid at 33, but it's a liquid at 32. And then so Christ was crucified at 33, and it's also, you have 33 vertebrae and that Kundalini energy reaching your pineal gland.
Yes, that makes so much sense. And it reminds me as well, in the Bible, you've got the 12 disciples and then Jesus is the 13th. So it's almost like in this story, Thoth is the Jesus Christ character, and he's had these 30 and 2 like beings come down to assist him, and he is the 33, which is obviously the master number, the attainment of enlightenment number, the Jesus Christ number. And obviously you see it in the Bible with the 12 disciples and then the 13th being this enlightened thing again. So it makes sense as well with the kind of like the reference to the numbers, and it literally all just being about enlightenment. So we've got here then after that, someone said on here, you're talking a lot about like it's all love. My Kundalini woke at 33. 33 is a really good age to have your spiritual awakening. So yes, guys, we're just on a YouTube live here reading the Emerald Tablets. If you want to have a read, join us on YouTube, but I am going to try and answer comments on my TikTok as well. So let's carry on reading. So deep in the halls of life grew a flower, flaming, expanding, driving backward the night. Placed in the center, a ray of great potence, life-giving, light-giving, filling with power all who came near it. Placed they around it thrones, 32, places for each of the children of light, placed so that they were bathed in the radiance, filled with the light from the eternal, filled with the life from the eternal light. There time after time placed they the first created bodies, so that they might be filled with the spirit of life. 100 years out of each 1,000 must the life-giving light flame forth on their bodies, quickening, awakening the spirit of life. There in the circle from eon to eon sit the great masters, living a life not known among the men. There in the halls of life they lie sleeping. Free flows their soul through the bodies of men. Time after time, while their bodies lie sleeping, incarnate they in the bodies of men, teaching and guiding onwards and upwards, out of the darkness and into the light. There in the hall of life, filled with their wisdom, not to the races of men, living forever neath the cold fire of life, sit the children of light. Times there are when they awaken, come from the depths to be lights among men, infinite they among finite. So I think this is talking about like basically the gods in heaven and how they come down from time to time to come and be with the children of the earth and help them find the light in themselves and help them ascend and grow upwards spiritually in the tree of life and becoming gods and goddesses and becoming ascended masters and basically joining them in the halls of life, which could be like heaven. And our higher selves, I don't know kind of how it works. I don't know if we have one higher self or if we have loads of different higher selves. There's some people that talk about us having literally a higher self in each dimension, and we have like 9, 10, 15, however many dimensions there are, and we have like parts of all different souls in us, and we could have a soul that's a part of like a Lyrian person, we might have a soul that's part angel, we might have a soul from all these different dimensions and these beings, or whether it is literally just we have one higher self. But what they talk about is when these beings from the higher planes do incarnate on earth, they have to go into like a stasis state. It's almost like you would go into meditation, or maybe they have some kind of technology where they literally, like Avatar, go into some kind of like sleeping machine, and then they project their consciousness somewhere else and they awaken on earth. But it's talking about how basically they go into some kind of meditation or a stasis state and incarnate as men in order to teach and assist how to basically become ascended masters like them. He who by progress has grown from the darkness, lifted himself from the night into the light, free is he made of the halls of Amenti, free of the flower of light and life. Guided he then by wisdom and knowledge, passes from man to the master of life. Therefore, he may dwell as one with the masters, free from the bonds of darkness of the night. So that's exactly what enlightenment is, and how to basically become a god and ascend from this plane. It's growing from the darkness, from night to light. And what's happening at the minute, like everyone is going on this experience of trying to overcome their shadow and turn from the darkness into the light. And once you do, you are free. Free of the flower of light and life. This is kind of like you almost have an infinite abundance of light and life when you attain this. When you do become a ascended enlightened master on this plane, what they've talked about in chapter 1 is that you literally live for as long as you choose, and that you can't die by the hand of man. You literally choose when you want to leave, which means that your light and life that flows in you from your internal flower, or maybe like it's your heart chakra, maybe it's your kundalini, you have a constant stream of life. It's like you are you're gifted this gift. And so they pass from man to the master of life. When you become enlightened, you're not a child of man anymore. You become a child of God, and you become a master of life. This is basically being able to overcome and master all the energies of this realm and become a master magician, which is what Thoth was. So, you know, the zodiac, Orpheus, and people talk about this 13th zodiac. What that is, I was just talking about it before, is you've got the 12 zodiac constellations, or you've got the 12 disciples. And then the number 13 and this 13th zodiac is basically being an enlightened master, or being the Jesus Christ of the disciples. It's the one that attained enlightenment. So this realm is governed by the 12 energies of the zodiac, and they govern everything. And in the Kybalion, which is another book I would love to go through with you guys, in the Kybalion, he talks about how, in fact, it might even be in this book later on down the line, but he talks about how you will always be controlled by the gods. But when you attain enlightenment, you become the God, and you control them, and they can do for you what you want them to do. So you are controlled by the energies of the 12 zodiac if you are unenlightened, and you are literally just a child of man. When you ascend and become an enlightened master and a God on this plane, you become the 13th zodiac, which is Orpheus, which governs over the 12. And then you become the master of life, which governs over all the energies of this cosmos. So you can then really become a master magician, and you can basically have that role. And this is why Thoth was king, because when you truly become enlightened, you will become the leaders of the new earth, because you are connected to God, you're aligned, you're balanced. Like, when you're enlightened, no one's a dick. Like, you're enlightened, you're a heavenly, godly, goodly person. And so you will be gifted these roles in life and in the new earth coming, because you are balanced and connected to God and goodly and godly, and you will want to do God's work and assist people in a loving way. You're out of your ego, you're out of your emotional attachments, and you do things out of true love rather than attachment or how it makes you feel or what they can do for you. And so you become a master of life. Seated within, one sec, I'm just going to see, has anyone got their hands up? Or I can't seem to see everyone. That's hey Dana, I see you, girl. So let's see what people are saying. Is it possible to explain to us that the UK is the real Holy Land? My mind was blown. Do you know, what I've said in the video is as much as I know about it at this time. So I've not got all the answers, but I will find out more and I'll let you know more. So seated within the flower of radiance sit 7 lords from the space-time above us, helping and guiding through infinite wisdom the pathway through time of the children of men. Mighty and strange, they veiled with their power, silent, all-knowing, drawing the life force, different yet one with the children of men, I different and yet one with the children of light. So these are the 7 gods and goddesses, or the 7 main visible planets that you can see in the sky. And these govern the 7 days of the week, the 7 rays of the rainbow, all these numbers of 7, the 7 chakras, the planets or the luminaries are these gods, and they govern them. So the 7 are the sun, the moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. These are the gods and goddesses. If you know about astrology, they literally, it says here, helping and guiding us through infinite wisdom and through time. Well, what happens in astrology, if you look at your birth chart, if you follow astrology, they literally guide the energies of this cosmos and of our lives to teach us things, to help us grow, and they do it through time. Time exists on this plane, and we basically go through these cyclic energies that are there to help us grow and ascend. And when you become enlightened, it's called the solar initiation, which basically, if you were to take the long path to enlightenment, then you basically have to go through this solar initiation of up till the age of about 33. You wait, because it's called your Saturn return at 33, and Saturn is this planet that's like it's like a granddad planet, the planet of time, but he tests you, and he's like the task maker, and it's like a very testing planet. And once Saturn has been through your whole of your chart once, which takes around 30 years, then what they say is that you've literally been tested in every single aspect of your life. So once you attain this Saturn return, or you get to that age, then you can have overcome these 7 vices and virtues. You've been tested in all ways if you've literally done all the growth and basically like grown through it and learnt the lessons, it's possible that at that time then you will be able to experience or achieve your solar initiation. But you can also do it early through walking this path. Hey Brenda. So they're talking about these 7 lords. These are the 7 gods, the 7 planets or luminaries. So custodians and watchers of the force of man's bondage, ready to loose when the light has been reached. First and most mighty sits the veiled presence, Lord of Lords, the infinite 9, over the others from each cosmic cycle. Weighing and watching the process of men. What do you guys think the infinite 9 is? People talk about like, you know, like they talk about the cosmic, like a council, a cosmic council or something. People talk about a cosmic council. I don't know if that is real or not. And I don't know in terms of like hierarchy, whether they sit above the 7 main planets that watch over our plane or not. Seeing what people have been saying on TikTok. I'm not sure what the Lords of 9 are. They might come. If anyone has any, yeah, not sure. If you have anything to say, guys, feel free to just unmute yourselves and say it in case I can't see your hands up or anything.
I always have something to say if you want me to.
Yes.
Bill Donahue says 9 is divine completion. So 9 is everything and nothing. So it equals 1 through 8, but it's set aside to itself in numerology.
Mm-hmm.
So 9 is 360 degrees of a circle. 3 plus 6 is 9.
Right.
So
okay.
a full round of the cosmic circle, instead of saying 360 degrees, they use numerology to depict codes throughout the Bible and like the Emerald Tablets, and they use numbers to kind of depict what they're trying to reference towards. So if like in the Bible, if reference to 9, usually that's the right hemisphere, the brain, or inner enlightenment.
Oh, fab. And do you know the word, now you've just said that as well, the number 9, I believe, is a feminine number, because they say that like you're pregnant for 9 months, and the word feminine has like 9 in, and masculine, the line is the number 1, whereas feminine is like the number 9. And so I think that it's almost like the 9 is like this feminine, and being on the right hand path is the feminine energy anyway, isn't it?
Well, feminine is the even, Eve, Adam and Eve, so even, but you're actually pregnant for 10 months, not 9. So you would actually be right. So 40 weeks is your average time you're pregnant. That's actually 10 months, not 9.
Okay.
So like spirit, to me, the whole 9 months, 30, that's like spiritual warfare. They're not letting you have that connection to earth, that cosmic connection. So if you have a baby, I've had 2 kids. Well, 40 weeks is just Jason's cycle. 40 divided by 4 is 10 months. So you would actually, you're correct by the whole even, and Eve.
Yes. Wow, that's so interesting. And also, just to share, I know you guys who follow Santos Bonacci will be aware of this, but what he talks about is, and it's work from someone else, but that our bodies are made up of these 12 different cell salts, and the cell salts correspond to the different signs of the zodiac. And while you're in gestation, you only really attain the energies of 9 or maybe 10 then of these cell salts whilst you're in the mother's womb. And when you are actually born, the remaining 2 months where you weren't in the mother's womb, you're lacking in those salts. And what I found really interesting is putting that to music. Is there's 12 musical notes. There's actually like 7 white notes and 5 black notes, but there's 12 musical notes that exist in like a full octave, I think. And when people really love certain songs and you're like, why do I just love this song so much? I've had certain songs that I have to continually play on repeat, and it feels like it is feeding my energy and my soul. And I wondered, like, what is it about certain songs that make you just love them so much? And I wondered whether those songs have the musical notes in, the energies and the frequencies in of those cell salts that you're lacking, of the 2 like months of that you weren't in your mother's womb. Those salts, like, could it be that those songs are feeding you the same frequencies and energies that those salts have? I found that just like really interesting to think about, or at
That's a
least,
good point.
yeah.
That's a really good. Those cell salts they're called Dr. Schussler cell salts.
Okay.
But yeah, you're 100% right, because there's a musical note for every zodiac song. Yeah, so that's a really good point.
Yeah, and I thought like that is why people love music and certain songs then, because it really is feeding you on an energetic level. And it's interesting to really realize that music is doing so much more than just something to enjoy. And obviously the spells in the lyrics as well and everything else. But
A sound is light, or light is sound.
yeah. And I wonder whether actually we were meant to be pregnant for 12 full months. Like, it doesn't make sense to naturally give birth before they are fully like experiencing all the zodiac. Like, I just wonder whether that's been something that's changed over time, you know, with the changing of our DNA and stuff like that.
I would say it also has to do with the ages, because there's, at least 4 different ages that I remember. There's obviously the Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and then the Iron Age. Well, we can all, I'm sure many people will have different reasons, different back and forths as to like why we go through these ages. Golden Age, as the name would imply, it's golden, everything's great. So
yeah,
I would definitely say, like, my hypothesis would be it'll be the full 12 months, because Golden Age is like the easiest, everything's great, everything's lovely. We have access to absolutely everything. That's probably the best state of best condition we could be in. And then follow through the Silver, which, still good, but a little less. Bronze Age, and then then obviously it goes a little lower than the Iron Age. Now, as for the cosmic reason, could be many. Could be lessons to be learned. Could be, well, actually, I would probably, it's more likely to say because of the conditions present, with its own challenges, with its own lessons to be learned. Iron Age would definitely be the hardest, and thus we are the most vulnerable here in terms of receiving these negative influences. So with the 9 and 10th month gestation, missing the at least bare minimum of 3 salts, coupled with the additional missing salts that you can also get in relation to whatever malefics such as Mars, Saturn, or even Pluto are on your charts. Also, I wanted to go back to, as well as the notes as well, because I recently purchased this medical astrology guidebook from 2 other medical astrologers, Crystal and Cavalier and Nick Satsano. They're also friends of Santos Bonacci. And here in this PDF, or this book they recently released, they also put down the notes for each of the signs. So I can go through each of them from Aries to Pisces, if you want me to. Okay, so for Aries, hang on, let me make sure this is Aries I'm looking at.
Do you have it on your computer?
Yeah.
Do you want to share your screen?
Oh yeah, give me a moment.
One sec. Make sure you've got nothing incriminating on there.
Shh, it's a secret.
Yeah, try sharing your screen now. We can have a look at the same time. Anyone who's watching on TikTok, by the way, if you want to join on YouTube, you'll be able to actually see what we're talking about. Dana, we'll hear from you next, and then you as well, Derek, as well.
Just give me a moment to find it.
It is being recorded, the Barefoot Counselor. Yeah, it's going to be on my YouTube. You're going to be able to watch it afterwards. So definitely join. And thanks so much for joining already. It's so nice to chat to everyone. Right, Nick, how are we getting on? I can't see you.
Yeah, still trying to find it. Give me a moment.
Oh, right, yeah. It'd be interesting though, because I've seen lots of different charts. It'd be good to see what one is like most legit, because I trust Santos's like guidance. My YouTube is called Gabby Zakara. It's literally Gaby and then Zacara. So if you search there, we're live right now. You can join us. What would be even better if you guys wanted to next time is actually join the Zoom chat we've got going on. And you can do that by leaving your details on my website, which is gabbyzakara.co.uk. And then, or even just message me on like Instagram or Facebook, and then you can actually join and communicate with us and stuff. So yes, let's have a look then. We've got this chart up here. Thanks to everyone who's on YouTube, by the way. We love having you.
I sent you a messenger at Gabby as well with that chart, or with a chart.
Oh, did you?
Okay, so you can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for Aries here, the keynote for Aries would be G major or E minor. Now, I'm hoping I'm understanding this correctly. This is what they mean when they wrote this. So when in relation to as well to how each of the note is associated with each of the signs. So hopefully I'm explaining this correctly. So yeah, so for Aries, G major or E minor. The next up in Taurus would be F major and E B minor. I hope I'm reading that right. Next up in Gemini would be again E major or C minor.
E flat major, I think.
E flat. Thank you. Next up would be B major or G minor in Cancer. And Leo would be C major or A minor. Then in Virgo would be E major or C minor.
Yeah.
Next up in Libra it would be F major or E minor as well. And then next in Scorpio? Yeah, Scorpio will be G major and E minor as well. I hope I'm interpreting this correctly.
We're almost there.
Yeah,
There's some that is either flat or sharp, but when people are watching, you'll be able to see it. It's really interesting, this.
Yes. And next up in Sagittarius would be D major or B minor.
Yeah.
Capricorn, A major or F minor. Aquarius, A major or F minor as well. And then finally in Pisces, D major or B minor.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. Because I've kind of always thought that B flat was like for me, and I always thought it was an Aquarius thing, but it's not. So I'm now thinking, right, I need to go through that and see what it is that I'm lacking in and why that kind of tone works for me. Because obviously you've got your sun sign, but you've got your rising, you've got all sorts of, like, you got your Chiron. There's loads of elements in your chart that could be like causing you a depletion in energy and stuff. So it's good to know that.
Yeah.
If anyone's watching, then Andrew's asked, what is that document? What was it?
Oh, it's the second edition of a medical astrology guide written by Crystal Cavalier and Nick Sassano. They have it on their website. I can quickly find it and put a link in and you can buy from them. I think it was like 33 USD.
33. Yeah, no, that's so good. And what I love about medical astrology is there's so much. So that thing looks like it's not only telling you about music, but it's also saying chant this chant, wear the color yellow, like do this, like there's a whole like loads of stuff you can do in order to actually heal yourself based on your astrology. I just find it so interesting.
Oh,
So
yeah,
Dana, can we hear? Did you have something to say? Oh, I can't hear you. Dana's muted. Hang on, we can't hear you. Let me just ask you to unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm unmuted.
Yes.
I have little ones running around, so you're lucky that I'm muted.
Yeah.
So I have singing bowls.
Wow.
And you guys were touching on the different, notes and everything. And each one, I have 5 sons, and me and my husband, and we each have a certain bowl that resonates with our number and our chakra, whatever it is. But there was another thing I was going to say, as far as like, we were talking about, it was further back about 10 minutes ago, talking about choosing people around you and like-minded people around you. And I heard someone say last night, this man, because I've always heard the saying, blood's thicker than water, blood's thicker than water, like choose your family over your friends, blood's thicker than water. But he said, that's not what that means. He says, that means that it's the blood of your covenant, the blood of the friends and the family that you make in your life. Not exactly that has to be blood related, because the water is from the womb, not from family. You see what I'm saying? And I just thought that was so fascinating. I was like, okay, well, that makes me feel better whenever people are, you know, listening to me gripe about somebody, my family. They're like, well, blood's thicker than water. And I'm like, actually,
Yeah.
no. But yeah, that's all I wanted to touch in on and show my singing bowls, because you guys were talking about the different steps of the music ladder, and that, you know, we have one that correlates with each one. And yes, I was pregnant 40 weeks 5 times.
Wow.
So I get that. I was going to correct it whenever you had said that, but somebody had already corrected me before that. But yeah, 10 months.
That's awesome.
So anyway,
Thanks for sharing. And do you put like videos of your sound bowls and playing them on your TikTok or anything?
I've got one of me and my husband. It was my very first TikTok that we ever made. And then I've put one on Facebook, and for the people that haven't educated themselves, think that I was doing some kind of hippy dippy witchcraft thing. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, no, it's not. It's actually, it's very soothing. It helps me meditate. It's a spiritual instrument. Sorry, I have a very vocal child. I won't keep you on here. I just wanted to tell you that, yeah, I agree with the music and about the different megahertz. I can't remember what it is. Isn't it 445 or 447? I can't remember now. My husband's a musician and he plays on that level, just to be able to please people's ears and to keep them listening.
Yeah, 432. I think Derek's saying as well. It's 432, I think.
432. Yeah.
Magical. Yeah. And is it
Because apparently,
different?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
You can really feel the difference.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you can mute me now. I got children running around.
Thanks so much. Shout if you want to say anything else. What I was going to say,
Sure.
Nick was asking, you're still looking for the place to buy the book. Thanks. So we'll share that once we know. Do a bit of promo for
crystalclearcompass.com.
right.
That'd
Okay.
probably be the best place to find it.
Yeah, I'm trying to find specifically where exactly it is. I'm just not sure if I'm being blind and missing it, or if they just haven't put it on their website yet.
You guys are so awesome. Oh my goodness, someone's giving me a little head wreath of flowers on TikTok. Thank you so much. I've never had that before. Someone said, can you make your own melody by your whole chart? And yes, you can literally have a perfect song that is like your healing song. And what I would really love to do, I do like music myself, I would just love to like make an album of like, right, if you're a Scorpio, this is for you, babe, or like just to be able to do the whole zodiac. But more than that, it's so tailored, because you can be a Scorpio, but it can still be that you like need other things just other than just being a Scorpio. So I think potentially one day there might be a service, I might just try it, where people will specially make songs just for you based on your chart. Or hopefully if you guys want to like do that or help me, we can do it together, because it takes, I think it's going to be like, I'd need to kind of figure it out really, but I think it'll just be really cool. So
I think it's
yeah.
I think it's really neat that with the 12 signs, that like everything's a 12ness. That's why I think the best case for not being 13 signs is everything's a 12ness. So every Taurus field, everything moves in 12s. 12 times 12 is 144, just like 144,000. But that you have the 7 solfeggio notes, and then you have the 5, like you said, white noise, like the notes in between, you know, which are your 5 senses. So your 7 planetary energies plus your humanly 5 senses equal 12.
Yes. And what I like, what I wanted to just even say, it's a little bit off topic, but that number 144, a lot of like light workers say, oh, you know, there's only 144,000 of us here. And it's like, there can only ever be that many. So everyone else is just not like a light worker, but that number isn't literal. It's not the amount of light workers that are here. There are millions of us. So I don't want anyone to ever feel like, oh, I am either in the club or I'm not, or like, you know, questioning yourself. We're all originally from God. We've all got the light in us, and we can all ascend and be these light workers if we want to. So no one's excluded. Hey, thanks so much, guys, on TikTok. So glad you're here with us. Let's get back to the tablets and get reading of finishing off, really. I'm not sure how far we've got into it. Let me just try and get back to it. That's the Zoom call. It looks like might be, it shouldn't be this. I don't know where it's gone. It's here. There we go. Righty. So, yeah, so we read about this infinite 9, this number 9. So under he sit the lords of the cycles 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, which with each with his mission, each with his power, guiding directly the destiny of man. So when they say under he, I believe the he might be like the creator, like the prime source creator, which would be like God or whatever you want to call him, her, both. But under the highest lord sit these lords of the cycles 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, each with their mission, each with his power, guiding, directing the destiny of man. There sit they, mighty and potent, free of all time and space, not of this world they, yet akin to it, elder brothers they, of the children of men, judging and weighing, they with their wisdom, watching the progress, light among men. So these are like the older souls who have already done all this. They've already like been through this solar initiation. They've already been human. They've already ascended. They're the older souls and the older brothers and sisters who are like now gods and goddesses and overseeing what's going on the earth. There before them was I, led by the dweller, watched him blend with one from above. Then from he came forth a voice saying, great art thou, Thoth, among children of men, free henceforth of the halls of Amenti, master of life among children of men. Taste not of death, except as thou will it. Drink thou of life to eternity's end. Henceforth forever is life, thine for the taking. Henceforth is death at the call of thy hand. Dwell here or leave here, when thou desireth. Free is Amenti to the Son of Man. Take thou up life in what form thou desireth, child of the light that has grown among men. So this is what I'm talking about in the first chapter. When you become an enlightened master, you literally have an abundance of life and light. You cannot then die. You are eternal being on this plane until you choose. And this is what I talk about when Jesus in the Bible, he says, you can have everlasting life through me. He's not talking about your soul, because our souls are already eternal. So he's not just saying, oh yeah, through me, you can have an eternal soul. We've already got an eternal soul. So what he was talking about is through him or through his path or through becoming your own Christ, you can literally be an immortal on earth. And so that's what he was talking about. So he took this chapter here, this paragraph here, he's talking about basically do not taste of death unless you will it, unless you want to die, and you can literally drink of life to eternity's end. And so yeah, I just find that really interesting. Literally, he can die when he wants to. And in chapter 1, he was basically saying that he's ready to leave the earth plane. He's been a king, he's been a master magician, he's taught loads, he's done his job. And what happened was that humanity started to descend again. And he was like, right, my time here is done, I'm going to go now. So he was choosing to leave, but what he wanted to do was create these emerald tablets as a guide for everyone he leaves behind, to help teach the truth still, and to help kind of leave his legacy, really. So choose thou thy work, for all souls must labor, never be free from the pathway of light. One step thou hast gained on the long pathway upwards, infinite now is the mountain of light. Each step thou takest but heightens the mountain, all of thy progress but lengthens the goal. Approach ye ever the infinite wisdom, ever before thee recedes the goal. Free are ye, made now of the halls of Amenti, to walk hand in hand with the lords of the world, one in one purpose, working together, bringers of light to the children of men. So he can literally stay on this earth plane now and choose what he wants to do. But what it's saying is, on the earth, you can't just like literally do nothing and try and like live. You have to almost work, you have to look after yourself. There's stuff you need to do to keep your life in check on this earth plane. So you can never just, like, you still always have to labor on this earth plane, and you still always have to do God's work. You still have to stay on the path. It's not like as soon as you're enlightened, you stay enlightened forever. You can become unenlightened again. If you leave and fall off the path, you have to work. And he's also talking about that this is only a small step in attaining like your godlike state. So you can become a god on this plane, but this is just a step into becoming a god or an angel. But then there's higher and higher realms you can go, and higher light you can attain. And he also is talking about almost like this, the further you go, the further the goalpost is pushed. So it makes me wonder, people talk about the expansion of the cosmos and of our like intelligence and our wisdom and our light. Does it forever expand, and it just never stops expanding, and you can always grow more and more in the light? What I think about these ages is it's almost like a breath. You expand and you expand and you become more and more light, and you become more and more godly, and then eventually it does I don't know what the word is, but it kind of like closes off again. I don't know what the word is at the minute, but it expands. And it's almost like in and out, so you can grow and then you kind of like go smaller again. But it's almost like, is there actually a limit on how much we can grow? What I was thinking about the other day, it came to me today, and I was like half gutted but half not, is in my life I always just feel like I'm like trying to get somewhere, and I'm really like trying really hard, and it's almost like the goalpost really keeps getting pushed away, and I'm just trying to get to this place, and I keep not being able to get there, and it like makes me exhausted, and I get to this point where I'm just like ready to give up, and then I go, no, just keep pushing on, and I keep pushing on, but again and again it's like I never get there, and it's like a constant having to keep pushing myself. And I was like, I almost need to get in my head, you will never get there. Like, there is never this end. You will always be moving, working, growing. And so like, rather than constantly like trying to like push, oh, can't wait till I'm there, and then needing to get to this place, oh, I love those butterflies. It's almost like you need to accept, listen, you'll always be on the journey, you'll always be growing and changing and stuff. So stop feeling like you need to get to a destination, and instead just like take your time, chill with it. Don't tire yourself out, but just like try and like almost like grow with it and deal with it, because I just felt like I was never able to really like get there. Dana, do you want to share what you had to say, and then we'll hear from you, Andrew, as well? Unmute yourself again.
She doesn't know
Oh,
how.
I'll ask to unmute you to see if that, oh, there you go.
Okay, here I am. I honestly, I don't even know. I think I've already spoke about it earlier, and my hand just went up again. But I think it's never ending knowledge. I think as long as there's here and we're here, there's constantly going to be something new to learn. It's like the old adage of I learn something new every day. I really do. Even, you know, the smartest and wisest of people, I would think they would agree as well that there's always something to learn. So that was it. Other than that, I think I spoke about it earlier. I think I just got too crazy with the hand button.
No, you're so right. And that's exactly what I was just feeling like I was trying to say. It's just like there is always like more to learn. And it's exactly what this text is saying as well. So I think almost you need to just kind of like pace yourself and enjoy the view and enjoy the journey along the way, don't you?
Right. Right.
Andrew, do you want to share what you had to say?
I was just going to say, you hit it right on the spot just now. You know, you see a lot of videos about people talking about their life experiences, and I don't know if you like to hear like channeling videos where people will channel like more intelligent beings or whatever, and kind of give experiences. They always say, you know, go in with no expectations, you know, and just kind of like live in the moment, live in the experience, and pretty much enjoy it, just like you said, and learn, you know.
That's a massive one, is the expectations, because something that I have found with like, say, your like relationships with people is people often put expectations on like how they want the other person to be and react to things and stuff, and then what happens is they end up getting let down by them, but it's not by them. They get let down by their own emotional attachment to what they thought or wanted the situation to become, rather than just accepting it for how it is. And what's funny is it's actually we let ourselves down, but we like try and blame other people just from our own expectations.
It's very true.
Anyone saying in the chat? So chat, we have shared the link. That's good. I'm just gonna check if anyone's got any comments on YouTube. So Kaylee, just found you tonight. Very interesting chat. I'd love to know more. Well, we're going to be doing these readings as often as we can, so definitely join us again. Does anyone know what it means if you have an extra vertebrae? You're special. I don't know, but I don't know if anyone has any ideas on that. What is the title of the document that we are reading? It's called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. Fab. Hi to everyone on TikTok as well. It's so nice to have you here. And yes, just going to see what some of you guys are saying. You will always grow. It's the journey. So true, Thea. Shannon, we can all tune in. Lifelong learning, Amy, literally. Be grateful for everything because you attract what you are on the inside to grow. That's so true. Shannon, I needed to hear that. Everything is you, all is you. Saphira, good evening. Thanks for joining us. So we're just reading the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. And we are on chapter 2. I'm not sure how much we've got left. But we're basically talking about how it pertains to spiritual enlightenment. And basically all the hidden secrets in these texts, not only this text, but once you start to see all these metaphorical truths, then you can start reading things like other religious texts and really see it all hidden in there as well. So basically Thoth was told by God that now he's enlightened, he's on the earth plane, he still has to work and stay on the path, but he can now teach with the other gods. He can teach enlightenment and help bring light to the world. And when you choose to die, Thoth, you can choose, but you will never actually taste death. You will literally choose when you want to go. And I wonder as well whether it literally means you go into a meditation and leave, like you don't ever have to literally experience like death and pain and things like that. So then from his throne came one of the masters, taking my hand and leading me onward through the halls of the deep hidden land. Led he me through the halls of Amenti, showing the mysteries that are not known to man. Through the dark passage downward, he led me into the great hall where sits the dark death. Vast as space lay the great hall before me, walled by darkness, but yet filled with light. Before me arose a great throne of darkness, veiled on it seated a figure of night. Darker than darkness sat the great figure, dark with a darkness not of the night. Before it then paused the master speaking the word that brings about life, saying, O master of darkness, guide of the way from life unto life, before thee I bring a son of the morning. Touch him not ever with the power of night. Call not his flame to the darkness of night. Know him and see him, one of our brothers, lifted from darkness into the light. Release thou his flame from its bondage. Free let it flame through the darkness of night. Raised then the hand of the figure, forth came a flame that grew clear and bright. Rolled back his swiftly the curtain of darkness, unveiled the hall from the darkness of night. Then grew in the great space before me flame after flame from the veil of the night. So this figure of darkness, I believe it's like Satan or Saturn. And I was talking about the Saturn return and how basically Saturn is like the lord of like death and karma and pain and stuff. And when you have an ego death, you have to experience basically a figurative death. This is why Jesus, when he say Jesus died on the cross, he didn't actually die on the cross. He had an ego death at 33. And when you have an ego death, you literally face your darkest shadow. You face the night. You face your pain, and that's how you overcome your pain, is through facing it. And so I believe that with this, basically, he's facing the darkness or Saturn, and Saturn is I don't know if it's like the highest ring. I feel like Santos might talk about when you are ascending and through these different planes, you have to go through the initiation or the portal of all the different planets, and Saturn's the last one, and Saturn's this gatekeeper to enlightenment. And so when you have faced Saturn, you face the darkest pain and your biggest fears, then this is basically God saying to Satan, you cannot touch this child with death anymore or pain. This is now a child of the sun, a child of us. He is now our friend. And Saturn's lowest self is Satan, which is the devil, and he literally does cause pain on this earth plane. Saturn, the higher aspect, is actually working for God, and he is one of the gods, and he helps teach through his ways that he does, like in astrology and stuff. So he is like a brother to all the other gods. So you almost like become a god, and then Satan or Saturn won't touch you. Now, obviously, Saturn's lower self is different, the devil, but yeah, this is kind of what he's saying. So let me just hear, Derek, did you have something to share?
Yeah, I just a little bit of a spin off on that. I think would be more of Saturn's higher self. So I think that the master with the hand down is the pineal gland, the hand is the chrism. So by reaching that up, so Saturn is L, the electricity that's reaching that up. So Buddha to go within, Jesus said to go within. Well, within you is darkness, but Jesus also said, if thy single eye be open, your body will fill with light. So thy single eye is the pineal gland. So that's the way I would look at it, more on the positive aspect of Saturn, and then Saturn being actually the pineal gland, and then the chrism is the hand. Yeah,
okay. And so it almost could be like he is within and the darkness is within, and you find the light from going within, which is literally what all spiritual paths teach, really, isn't it? Dana.
Yeah, it's just like almost dying, they say go to the light, don't go to the light.
Yeah.
You think the light is what you need, but it's actually the opposite. In the darkness, in the hard times, in the trials and tribulations, that's where you find yourself, and that's where you find God.
See you, Matthew. Dana, go for it. The shadow part that you suppress is what you need to love most. Dana, let me unmute you again. Yes.
Hi, dear.
Okay.
I honestly, I don't know why I get called on, keep on getting called on. I'm not raising my hands. I'm just enjoying the chat and listening to it. And I'm wondering, can people see me running around my house like a crazy person trying to listen to everybody, or is it just you, Gabby?
I think everyone can, including our YouTube, but I can put you off if you want.
Oh, and it's they've seen what they've seen. I don't know what else to show. So there you go.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well,
I've really enjoyed this and I'm learning a lot. I I don't know really what else to add to it. My husband was trying to touch on the Emerald Tablets with me and saying, oh, it's just so deep and it's so difficult to learn. And honestly, I'm listening to you read it and have all of these other people, you know, interjecting and putting in their pieces as well. And I don't really think it's that difficult. I mean, to kind of grasp. But that's really it. I'm sorry. I don't know why my hand keeps on getting raised. I'm not raising it.
right. What I'll do is I'll put it down because it might have just been up the whole time since you last.
Okay.
I'll put it down for you, but put it up if you do want to say anything else.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
So, that I've lowered your hand. Nick, go for it.
I was gonna two things I was gonna mention. When it comes to the word crucified, when something is crucified, when the story of Jesus, when he goes up to be crucified on the cross,
Yeah.
especially in relation to with the raising of the chrism within the body. And also you noted that the word crucify, I recall hearing from another teacher, another one called Christopher Campbell, also great source of information as well. I wish I can remember the exact explanation or the exact definition he gave, so I'm just going to share with the best of my memory. Was when something is crucified, it's not necessarily means something that's, you know, nailed to two wooden planks, right? It means to be multiplied by 1,000-fold, if I recall. So when the Christ is crucified, it's, you know, not in that literal sense, but in the allegorical sense that it's when the chrism finally reaches back up to the top of the spine, or some other part that's in the skull. I wish I could remember the details. Then that's when it's multiplied 1,000-fold, when the body goes through that regenerative process of when the chrism is finally raised. I wish I can remember the proper explanation, but that's the general gist of it. And also wanted to also quickly add on to the role of Saturn as well. Whereas, yeah, like when the consciousness, when the soul ascends and finally reaches the Saturn, that final gateway, you know, Saturn's the Lord of the Rings. He's the Grim Reaper. He's Father Time. He's Kronos. He's the old man. He's also a teacher as well. And yeah, he's the disciplinarian. He's the one that restricts us. He's the opposition, but he, you know, obviously doesn't do it just for the sake of doing it, just for the sake of, you know, being that, you know, that big bad guy. He wants us to overcome these challenges. He's pretty much, the sun will say, or us, we will say, oh, I can do this. I want to do this. And Saturn will say, no, you can't. If you want to, prove it. He wants you to overcome the challenges. And I think there was more I wanted to say on Saturn, because it's something that I've been in recent times, like past few weeks at this point, really been focused on, as well as our relationship with Saturn, as well as his role in his job as in this cosmos with us. And subsequently, it would also be somewhat tied to, as well as the other malefics as well, because a lot of people are always tied and always very drawn to, you know, the benefics, like say Jupiter and Venus, you know, the good things. And, you know, obviously that's understandable, because, you know, they feel nice, they feel great. Right, but it's also important to remember that the malefics, while they don't always feel the most comfortable to deal with, they are necessary, because in this plane, in this earth plane, you know, it's a classroom, it's a forge. This is the place between, that is at the fine balance between the subtle and the gross, the cosmic, you know, the higher heavens and the lower hells. You know, if it's too high up, it's too easy. If it's too low, it can be a little bit too difficult, though not impossible. And so it is here where we learn through trials and tribulations, but still have enough access to the higher realms that we don't get completely lost. I think there's more I wanted to say on that, but that was a tiny small rant, and I'm just trying to pick as best I can from my memory with what I wanted to say.
It is so true. And what I love, and just to go back to you and talk about the crucified, I'm so glad you said it, because the actual symbol of the cross, which is obviously the representation of the crucifix, is like when you plus something or you times it, the actual cross is a plus and a times, and it's the same with energy. So when you have like a masculine and a feminine, I'm going to use these dodgy ones for the explanation. Let's say one's masculine and one's feminine, or one's hot and one's cold. When you put them together like that, the two energies basically unify and become the Christ did, or positive, and they amplify and they times. And so when you have crosses, like wear a cross on your necklace, or if you wear like tartan clothing that has crosses on, the crosses literally amplify and charge energy. And so when people have crosses in their houses, they literally are like emitting a powerful positive energy. And the same if you cross your arms, you've got two channels, one's in and one's out, one's masculine and one's feminine. It's Adam and Eve. Your hands are they are like an extension of your nervous system, and they are an extension of the flower, or the tree of life. And so for me, it's right for receive and left for leave. So receive is Eve and leave is Adam. You've got your masculine and your feminine. So when you've got these two channels, when you cross them over like that, it cancels out negative energy, because the two channels cross and they crucify each other. They basically cancel each other out. So it's like it's hot and cold. If you put hot and cold together, they don't exist anymore. They are balanced. They're in the center. And so you do that with energy. It centers it, it amplifies it, it cries it, and it gets rid of bad energy. So you'll see on Egyptian coffins, they sleep with their arms like that. They're telling you they're keeping their energy protected whilst they're doing that. And if you do that, you literally get rid of bad energy. You can literally do that and it gets rid of bad energy. And the same as when people pray, this is the real true way of praying. They've now told you, well, you pray with your hands flat like that, you can do. But when you actually cross your fingers and cross your channels, you've got your two palm chakras connecting, so masculine and feminine, you've created a circuit, but you've crossed all of the energy. And so now all the energy is Christed, it's crucified, it's amplified, and it cancels the negative as well. So if you pray like this, you are literally like any negative energy you have in you is cancelled while you're saying your prayer, your spell. And then it also is amplifying the energy. So you'll even notice when you're around like negative people, you might be crossing your arms like that, or you might just have your hands clasped like that, because you're just blocking the negative energy from them coming to you and like Christ in it. Also, if you've got bad energy, you're stopping it from leaving you and going to someone else as well. So I love how you shared that, because it's such an important tool in spirituality, learning about crossing things. And just the power of the cross, because some people think it's just like a Christian thing and it's all about this fake death of Jesus, but no, there's so much more to it. Also, if you want to, this is like a little trick, but when I was talking about left for leave and right for receive, it's the same with your eyes. Your eyes are the window to the soul. And so if you look, when you're giving eye contact to people, you're literally exchanging energy, which is why people either struggle to give eye contact or that they really do. So if you close your left eye and you open just your right eye, just your right for receive, and you look at a cross, the energy of the cross comes into your right eye, into your system, and it Christs and crosses any negative energy again. So it cleanses you. So you can look at a cross with your right eye and it gives you an energy cleanse, which is fun. You can try it with your left eye and see what that does too. And then you can do it with any types of spiritual shapes and symbols. I've got a little cross here if anyone wants it. I'm just going to show it up to the TikTok first, and then I'll show it on YouTube, and then we'll get back to the tablets. But a little cross there. See if you can just look at it with your right eye, and it gets really negative.
Also, I wanted to add a real quick on what you were saying about, right for receive and left for forgiving, for believing. In electromagnetism, there's two, well, I think there's, I want to get the explanation correct, but when it comes to dielectricity and magnetism, or radiation, even right turning energy is dielectric, it's converging, so it's pulling in. That's blue shift. And then afterwards you get red shift, which is which is left turning energy, with this radiation, giving.
Mhm.
Wanted to quickly put that in there with what you said about right receive, left relieve.
Yes, because at the end of the day, and Santos talks about this, everything comes back to the torus field, and it's really important to just be aware that everything is a torus field or an atom. And so to bring it back to that, and then if anyone hasn't looked into that, they can now look into it more. And I find it interesting as well, like your heart's on your left hand side, but blood comes out and goes round, doesn't it? So it's like comes out of here and comes in here. So again, energetically, it comes out of your leave and it comes into your receive. So let's share our screen again. Derek was saying that when the chrism crosses the vagus nerve is literally the biochemical process of spiritual enlightenment. Let's share my screen. TikTok, guys. That's why you have the two energies in you. Oh, another crown. Thanks so much, guys. The cross folds into a cube. Yes. There's a cube called a tesseract, which is literally like, it's like, I don't know, 6 crosses or something. It's awesome. And it's a very powerful symbol, but the cross folds into a cube. And if you unfold it out again, it's like the man standing up with his arms out like that. And the cube is the 666 into it, which is 6 like electrons, 6 protons. It's like the number of carbon or something. That's why you have 2 energies in you. You are union. That is exactly it. So literally, the 2 energies become one, and that is spiritual enlightenment. It glitched when I was trying to do the right eye open. Shannon, find a cross, even if it's just like a cross on your window pane, or like a pattern on your bedding or something. Any cross you can find, try it with your right eye and see. The earth is a torus field. Yes, everything is a torus field. Andrew, thank you so much. Andrew, 33 as well. That's awesome. Right, let's get back to where we were. So yes, Thoth was in the darkness and was filled with light. So uncounted millions leaped they before me, some flaming forth as flowers of fire, others that shed a dim radiance, glowing but faintly from out of the night. Some there were that faded swiftly, others that grew from a small spark of light, each surrounded by its dim veil of darkness, yet flaming with the light that could never be quenched, coming and going like fireflies in springtime, filled they the space with light and with life. Then spoke a voice mighty and solemn, saying, These are lights that are souls among men, growing and fading, existing forever, changing yet living through death into life. When they have bloomed into flower, reached the zenith of growth in their life, swiftly then send I my veil of darkness, shrouding and changing to new forms of life, steadily upwards throughout the ages, growing, expanding into yet greater flame, lighting the darkness with yet greater power, quenched yet unquenched by the veil of the night. So grows the soul of man ever upward, quenched yet unquenched by the darkness of night. I, death, come, and yet I remain not, for life eternal exists in the all. Only an obstacle I in the pathway, quick to be conquered by the infinite light. Awaken, O flame that burns ever inward, flame forth and conquer the veil of the night. Then in the midst of the flames in the darkness grew there one that drove forth the night, flaming, expanding ever brighter, until at last was nothing but light. Then spoke my guide, the voice of the master, see your own soul as it grows in the light, free now forever from the Lord of the night. So this is just talking about this cycle of reincarnation and how Saturn through death has basically governed these souls on the earth plane, and like Nick was saying, he wants us to attain enlightenment. He wants us to grow in our light. And he's almost like overseeing this and putting us through our tests and being there and kind of watching and waiting until we overcome him. And he knows that he isn't like the be all and end all. He's just, what he says here is a, did he say like a barrier or some kind of word that's literally, he is just something for you to overcome. And he wants you to overcome it. And so this is just talking about, again, these souls he can see down on earth, some filled with light, some not as light, but he's almost here waiting for us to be filled completely with light, to attain enlightenment, to ascend and to overcome him and to overcome death. Yeah, he says, I'm only an obstacle, quick to be conquered by the infinite light. And he knows that. He literally is just there to assist us in growing. So forward he led me through many great spaces filled with mysteries of the children of light, mysteries that man may never yet know until he too is a son of the light. Backward then he led me into the light of the hall of the light. Knelt I then before the great masters, lords of all from the cycles above. Spoke he then with words of great power, saying, Thou hast been made free of the halls of Amenti. Choose thou thy work among the children of men. Then spoke I, O great master, let me be a teacher of men, leading them upwards, onwards and upwards, until they too are lights among men, freed from the veil of the night that surrounds them, flaming with light that shall shine among men. Spoke to me then the voice, Go as ye will, so be it decreed. Master are ye of your destiny, free to take or reject at will. Take ye the power, take ye the wisdom, shine as a light among the children of men. And another thing that people talk about in enlightenment is basically attaining like really, really like powerful wisdom that not everyone gets. And when you become an enlightened master, people talk about it activating like all 12 cranial nerves or something, and so your whole nervous system and your brain is unlocked and your DNA is unlocked, and you basically access higher states of wisdom that is not accessible to those who aren't that full of light yet. And so Thoth has said that he's become enlightened and he has chosen, right, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to teach everyone how to become an ascended enlightened master like me and how to attain it. So Nick's just sharing, quickly sharing the email. You can also buy the medical astrology book I mentioned before. So I'm actually just going to share this on the YouTube chat. This is an email, because I don't know if the YouTube chat can see our chat, but this is an email address if you want to buy the medical astrology book. So I've just shared that on there. So he's become enlightened. He's basically gone and met all the gods. Gods asked him, what do you want to do? And he said, I want to stay and basically teach people how to become an enlightened master. And what I really love is a lot of this is like rhyming, and this is like a magician thing, because obviously the traditional spells that you see like in movies and stuff, they all like rhyme, and people talk about like limericks and stuff. And when you rhyme stuff, it has like a stronger like spiritual power. And so it's interesting, he's a magician, and this text is like kind of rhyming from time to time. And I do think that when you're a true magician, when you're a true wordsmith and a true master of your words, because every single word we speak is a spell, it's why it's called spelling. So he's like written this text, and it almost is like one grand spell, like one grand, like amazing kind of limerick, if you will, the way that it kind of rhymes with each other. And I'm like, how did he even do this? Because I know it wasn't English that he's written this in. So maybe they've translated it in rhyme. I don't know. But I'm finding this very interesting. Anyway, someone said your guides can bring you to the healing temple. You can ask before you go to sleep. I love that, Thea, because every night when I go to sleep, I literally ask for the most powerful healing I could possibly have. And I've had like astral beings in the astral plane like do healings on me and stuff. So I love it. Yeah. LMA saying that words are spellings, and can cast spells. Cursive writing, obviously when you say swear words, it's called cursing. Well, you are literally cursing people when you're shouting and cursing those negative words at them. And I've heard something saying that like children nowadays don't know how to read cursive, and like the old kind of way that you used to write with the letters joined together. Supposedly they can't read it anymore, and the schools have done this so that our youth can't read old texts anymore. So if there's any old books that have been written in cursive that's got all ancient knowledge and information in, nowadays like the children don't know how to read it, so they can't get the wisdom and stuff. That's something I've heard. So he has chosen to be a teacher among men. So upward then led me the dweller, dwelt I again amongst the children of men, teaching and showing some of my wisdom, son of the light, a fire among men. Now again I tread the path downward, seeking the light in the darkness of night. Hold ye and keep ye, preserve my record, guide shall it be to the children of men. So that is the second chapter. So yeah, again, it's kind of like he's not giving away all of his secrets yet. He's still just talking about his experience of how he became enlightened and what happened, and like his experience and what he chose to do with it. And yeah, I just find it all so interesting. So does anyone on our Zoom, I know that there's not really loads of us left anymore, but does anyone have anything that they want to like express or share about like the second chapter or the Emerald Tablets in general? It's been a long call, we've done well.
If I had anything to say, I completely forgot what it was.
Fair enough. If it comes to you, it will come to you. Someone
I
said,
took a few notes for after.
yeah, please share.
It was regarding like other stuff, not like the Emerald Tablets, but
Yeah, well, do you want to
Emerald Tablets are awesome.
yeah, they're good, aren't they? So just to kind of like tie them up then, we will do chapter 3. I don't know when, but what I'll do is I'll send you guys out like a video again, just to let you know when it'll be, and then the link will come like a week after that. If you want to join, feel free. If not, it's all good as well. But also to anyone who's been on YouTube or TikTok who want to join the actual Zoom call next time, just leave your details on my website. It's gabbyzakara.co.uk, and then I'll be able to send you the link as well, and you can actually join in the conversation. Thea on TikTok has said, yesterday I found out that the word corona means crown and heat wave, so never say virus behind it. Yes, and they talk about it's the basically like the opening of the crown chakra to like divine wisdom and knowledge, and basically it's kind of really woken everyone up. And so the word crown and it being the corona thing has really woken everyone up. And something interesting that came out when the coronavirus came out was that coronavirus is an anagram, a literal anagram of carnivorous. So I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, if God isn't telling you to go vegan, he is now. Like everything I'm seeing recently is pointing to God saying, guys, give up the meat. Like now there's talks about potential human meat in McDonald's burgers and stuff. It's like, if you couldn't give up the meat before, please to God, let that be your guidance to give it up now, because it will just help you and benefit you so much in your spiritual progression. So thank you so much everyone who's joined and commented and stuff, and we're going to end the tablets there for chapter 2, but if we do want to have a little bit more of a discussion on anything, then Andrew, go for it.
Oh, I was just gonna say I do have a copy of the Emerald Tablets, and I feel like every time I read it, I do get a little bit more out of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just so awesome that, you know, someone took the time to translate it and everything like that. I don't think everything is 100% fully translated to the way it should be, but you still like nonetheless receive so much immense energy and wisdom, you know, from it. I mean, even taking the time right now, the little bit that we've read, I'm sure we've done, you know, amazing things. You've done amazing things. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's so cool, isn't it? And someone asked me on the last live, they were said, how do you know it's legit? Like, how do you actually know they've translated it right? And it's true, but the wisdom that's in there, I'm like, whether it is the legit text or not, there's so much in there that's like, just learn from that even. And it even says, I think in the preface of it, it says like, read this like 100 times and then read it 100 times again, because every time it'll plant more and more seeds and you'll see more and more stuff that you didn't notice that first time. And it also talks about the actual tablets being a literal, like they literally hold energetic like light and wisdom in the tablets themselves, aside from the actual text. So it's almost like just the energy of the tablets themselves will give you stuff that isn't even written in the text, like, so almost like codes and things like that, which I thought was really cool as well. Yeah, it's a gift that keeps on giving. People are saying that the TikTok freezes sometimes, and it must be something important that they're missing.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I mean, the Emerald Tablets are the shortest, most truthful words of our inner alchemical being. I mean, it's, you know, it's hard for a lot of people to understand, but it's straight to the point, you know. And there's a reason why Thoth, or Thoth is thought, right? So, you know, if he was to die or reincarnate, maybe he reincarnates into that inner light, into each of us. So not as Thoth, but as thought. You know, enlightenment, knowledge, connection. Archangels are archangles of light. So maybe thought is just an archangel of light from a planetary source.
I love that so much. And I think, well, with the thought thing, it reminds me of, so for some reason reminds me of both the planet Mercury and of the moon, like the goddess Isis, and also like, well,
Hermes.
people say he is like the other incarnation of Hermes, but he's like a blend to me, because Isis, or the moon, is all about magic and like that kind of stuff. And then also with Mercury, he's really like the messenger of gods, and he's all about communication and stuff. So I can kind of see them both, the rays mixed together, which I really like. Again, it's just like showing these different rays of light. And look at that cat in Andrew's YouTube. It's showing these different rays of light and being expressed in like men, which is nice.
I did want to say, Gabby, I completely agree with what the first bit you read about the pyramid. I used to think giants. I used to think sound levitation, but I think magic 100%. I mean, there's too much incorporated into the Pyramid of Giza. There's with pi, phi, a 432-to-1 ratio of the planet to the pyramid. You know, the golden ratio. It's 8-sided when you can only see 4, but there's really 8 true sides. I mean, there's just too much that, I mean, I'm in construction. Like, I get giants, I get strength, but you're talking about a level of accuracy that just we can't even comprehend.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Well, what we can achieve with magic, I do think it'll be coming back, all of this stuff, and especially with the changing of the age, like the golden age come in, and it being a different energy altogether, now being in the Aquarian energy. Aquarius is like air and like technology and stuff, but I think like with the being in the age of Pisces and it being about water and being in your emotions and stuff and about belief and emotions, it's now going to be about thoughts and like air. And that just to me is all about like creating stuff with your mind and like basically these thought waves and like energy waves, which is magic really. Like magic is just manipulating energy, but you just can't quite see it. You just see the effect of it afterwards. So I just think it's gonna like be coming back like in big style, and everyone loves Harry Potter now and stuff like that. So I just think that the desire for it is there, and that it's gonna be coming back big time.
Yeah, like, also want to add in, yeah, magic comes with the word mag, which mag means to move, and really magic is just really just the science of electromagnetism. And
Yeah.
well, it's already in the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also wanted to add in quickly as well with the connection of Thoth and Mercury. I'm fairly certain, yeah, they are pretty much one and the same. You know, Mercury, Hermes, Thoth. And Mercury being the messenger of the gods, he's also the witness. He's also the traveler between worlds as well, and also from within as well, and within the body, because that's above, so below is without, so within. The Emerald Tablets is really just the two hemispheres of the brain. And also with Mercury as well, and his role when it comes to simply gaining this esoteric knowledge. I blanked out. There goes my Mercury. But
it's funny though, because Mercury is the fastest moving planet, and they have found Mercury underneath pretty much every pyramid that they've investigated.
Wow.
Like channels of Mercury in the pyramids.
That's amazing, because I've actually heard that people say that Mercury is toxic and don't touch it, don't go near it. But I've heard that ancient people used to actually bathe in Mercury. And I've got a friend who's like really, really connected spiritually. And he says that when he was a child, he poured Mercury all over himself. And he truly thinks that this has actually given him some kind of DNA upgrade. And like, obviously they talk about Mercury being like bad, but I just think that it's possible that I'd need to look into it more, but maybe there's something going on with Mercury.
There's two different kinds that I'm aware of. So there's like a silver Mercury, and then there's red Mercury. Now, like red Mercury, ironically enough, doesn't have a reflection. It's repelled by garlic, which, you know, like similar like the vampire tales, but it defies the laws of physics. Like you can float a 300-pound anvil in a pool of mercury where it should sink, it'll float.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and also it should be noted as well, you can Mercury, the staff of Hermes as well, has the capability to either waken souls up or put them to sleep. So it's really, with Mercury, it can go one of two ways. It can be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever.
That's interesting. I wonder if it's like to do with like your temple again, whether it's clean enough. Like say you talk about the 5G, and they say, you know, if you're full of like chemicals and full of like metal in your body and stuff, heavy metals, and you're not detoxed, then it can make you really ill. But if you are like high vibrational, you're eating well and you're looking after yourself, that it can actually cause like upgrades. So I don't know if it's true, but it's possible that there's a lot of things in like our lives that like can go either or ways depending on like where we're at and like the work we've been doing almost. Someone said, I used to love playing with the Mercury working in dentistry. What I find interesting though is, you know, the 7 planets of the week, these are the 7 like main luminaries or gods. Well, they each have a precious metal assigned to them. And when you wear that precious metal on that day, it strengthens your energy. So moon is silver, like Mars is iron. I think Wednesday or Mercury is Mercury. Thursday or Jupiter is tin. Friday or Venus is copper, Saturday or Saturn is lead, and then Sunday or the sun is gold. And if you wear these things on those days, it amplifies your energy and you can use it for spell casting and stuff. So I can't see why all the other metals are precious on those days, and yet Mercury has to be the one that's the evil one. Like for me, if all the others work in benefit to you, surely can't Mercury be the same?
Yeah, definitely. And I would say that when it comes to everything, there's always going to be a positive modality and a negative modality, right? Like want to take an example like between Jupiter and Saturn. Like even though Jupiter is commonly seen as the greater benefic, and he is, and Saturn seen as a great malefic, as the word imply, like Jupiter good, Saturn bad. But each one of them also has both a negative and positive side too. So like, Jupiter can be benevolent, he can be charitable, but he can also be greedy and gluttonous. Whereas Saturn can be very controlling, very oppressive and restrictive, but he can also be he can also give you discipline, he can give you structure, order as well. So like with Mercury, there's both the toxic and the non-toxic one. And I imagine so that the other metals will probably have the same attributes as well. Although Mercury, given its nature, and it's a lot easier for it to be one place or another, like good, bad, up and down, left and right, because he goes everywhere.
Well, fluoride is one of our cell salts, but sodium fluoride is a cell salt, but the phosphorate fluoride they put in your water is toxic and harmful.
Right, yeah. And what someone's just said on here, actually on TikTok, is they've said about, would it be the red mercury, which is what you were talking about, but they've also said lead is poisonous, so we're told. So this is another one, actually. I was saying all the others are fine, but lead is also, we're told, is poisonous. But you know how, I don't know if you guys have it like in the US, but in old traditional English windows, they have these diamond shapes made out of lead. And we've pulled the lead off one of these diamonds and held it in our hands on Saturday, and it gives you so much strength and power on the day of Saturn. And so I don't know whether you meant to eat it, but holding lead on Saturday is really powerful again. So is it like, how much is true and how much isn't? Like, who'd be brave enough to drink a load of mercury and see whether it gives you an upgrade or not? Like,
the lead rejects Wi-Fi. So for their push to push out Wi-Fi and to get the 2G, 3G out, the older homes, the old world, the lead paint interfered with that. So that's why in 1978 they said, "Oh, it's toxic. We got to start tearing it all out. We got to rebuild." Yes. Because it had infringed on their future plan of the electromagnetism.
Yeah, that's crazy. But now we have the Wi-Fi boxes in our home, so it's like it's already infiltrated through the windows. But yeah, no, that's so true. Like, we should so get those windows again. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also another thing I wanted to bring up when it comes to relation as well with the malefics as well, because lead is Saturn. Saturn is restrictive, but I think it's also important to recognize that when it comes to studying everything here, nothing is inherently outright good versus evil. When something is called evil, it's not like evil that it should be avoided at all costs. It's, it's very flowery, it's very allegorical. It's like it's supposed to be shown with like a there was a way that I remember explaining it, but now I don't remember how to explain it. But don't take it like fully on bad, because Saturn, yes, the devil, the Grim Reaper, but he can also be used as well in a positive aspect too, like with the lead blocking the Wi-Fi as well. Even when in magic, when you're drawing sigils, the one big thing that one should always draw is a circle. Well, circle is associated with Saturn, because that's Saturn's ring. Saturn can be restricted, but not just restricted to you, it can be restricted to other things, even malicious or bad entities, energies, whatever. Right there. It's also in a way similar, say, viewing it as fire, right? Like fire can give warmth, can give light, but it can also burn and destroy. Mm-hmm. So it's also a matter of how do you use these energies as well, not just a matter of whether something's inherently good or bad.
Yeah, even like the ocean, like we need water to survive, and yet the ocean could literally just drown us all. Mm-hmm. But what I was finding interesting as well, hang on, someone was just saying that they've really enjoyed this talk. Thanks so much. I can't remember what I was going to say, but if it comes to me, the circle. People like draw a circle around themselves for protection and stuff. So that is why then, so Saturn blocks out the negative energy.
Yep.
Do you know what shape the triangle is, like who that's a representation of?
The triangle, I would say, is well, representative of fire. It's also a trine. If I were to, I'm just trying to understanding Igone right now. I would say it's more associated with Jupiter. I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. Reason I say that is because in astrology, trines are like the greater blessings, which are ruled by Jupiter, the greater benefic. So obviously, when you have 3 trines and a triangle, that's a grand trine. And also try and be associated with the elements of fire. Jupiter also rules Sagittarius, which is supposed to be the mystic of the zodiac as well, and Sagittarius also being a fire sign.
That for me is so interesting, and the reason why I asked you is because recently I've become aware of, if you've got a circle with an upright triangle in it, that shape is really, really powerful at like getting rid of bad energy and cleansing you. And when you said the circle, I was like, okay, so what's the representation of the triangle? Well, Saturn and Jupiter are a pair. Saturn's feminine and Jupiter's masculine, and those two come together. They're all both, but in terms of like overall, in terms of the pairs that they pair up with, Saturn and Jupiter go together. So it's like the masculine and the feminine coming together and creating like a perfect shield around you, or getting rid of this negative energy, and like the masculine and feminine coming together and Christ in and getting rid of that negative energy again. So the pairs that I believe them to be is the Sun and the Moon pair, and then Mars and Venus pair, and Jupiter and Saturn pair, and then Mercury is on his own. He actually pairs with God, but he's also himself, and he might pair with Pluto, I'm not sure. But in terms of like, say, the 7 main planets we were talking about in the days of the week, and the metals, how they go together, tin and lead, or Jupiter and Saturn pair together. So that's really interesting. That must be why that shape is like really powerful at cleansing you and stuff.
Then you have a vertical triangle and a upside down. That's the phallic and the womb, and you put them together, and it's the Star of David.
Yeah.
So it's a tetragrammaton, the Star of David, and then Mercury would be the second hand. In time relation, you have hour, the months, and then Mercury would be the second hand. He's the speedy one on his own, right? The one that leads the race.
Right, that's interesting.
Because it's the only planet that's visible when the sun rises is Mercury, and Mercury is the leader of the zodiac. He's the fastest. He's the speedy one.
Right. So does the moon not go? I'm just trying to figure this out now, though. I'd have to look into that to like get that more. Yeah, but that sounds really interesting. That's definitely something I'm going to look into.
Talks about that in one of the chapters, like drawing a circle. I don't remember exactly what's happening, but as we like read on, it talks about drawing. Thoth tells you to like draw like a circle around you, and things like that to protect you and cleanse you during certain times. I don't remember exactly what it was.
I think the circle represents your aura, so just like the flower of life, the seed of life, that seed of life, that circle goes to the very far aspect of that circle and then draws another circle. Then it goes and does it again and again. But then in alchemy, the symbol for the sun is a circle with a dot in the middle of it. But then that circle also represents time, your aura field, your magic field, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
And also, whenever you draw a circle as well, I think I've thought of this before, but I'll just remember now, was when you draw the circle, you're invoking Saturn as well. You're also invoking that order, that structure. So like if you want to cast magic as well, you want it to have some kind of focus. Otherwise, it's kind of go sporadic and fall apart, doesn't work properly. So thus the magic circle is not just for protection from without, but in a sense also protection from within. And also when you draw the circle, like Derek's mentioned, is that it also represents the sun as well, because when you draw a circle around you, you're the dot in the middle. You are the sun. So yeah, like when it comes, so that is you invoking that relationship between the sun and Saturn, you and time and space around you. I think that's what I wanted to say, but I Don't remember if there was something else because I think that might have been it. Yeah. So yeah, pretty much. Yeah. When you draw a circle around you, you're becoming the sun.
That's so cool. And I love as well, you know, like sigils and just shapes in general, because shapes have got so much like energetic power, certain ones, others don't. But like I used to think, like, what is it about the shape that does this? And I'm not sure about like rounded shapes, but shapes with like angles and stuff, I believe, are channeling the angels or the angles of light. So whichever angle you have, it's bringing in different types of light or different angels. And so if you've got like a cross and that's got 90-degree angles, one on the earth, one north, one east, one west, or whatever it is, it might be bringing in the 4 archangels or the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac, or that kind of a thing. So I think that the different shapes, the different angles are almost like portals to invoking and bringing in those energies into your spells and into your life and stuff when you look at them or cast them and stuff.
You know, the pentagram, the circle with the pentagram, every angle in that adds up, numerology breaks down to 9, every single angle. The circle and the pentagram, it's adjacent angle. Every angle in a pentagram in numerology is a 9. Will break down to a 9.
That magic 9 again.
I'm a life path 9. 9 is like everywhere.
Who are you?
I
Yeah,
guess so.
Hey guys on TikTok, Jojo, so glad you're here. By the way, Derek, you've been doing a fantastic job on the TikTok live. I'm so glad you've been doing that. You've been doing so good. So thank you for doing that. Derek, who's chatting on here, has been moderating the live. He's called Holy Trinity 369. If he's been chatting to you guys, he's here chatting to us as well. He's multitasking, doing a good job. So what is your guys' zodiacs then?
Scorpio.
Do you know your rising and your moon, or?
Yeah, my Taurus rising, and I'm a Scorpio moon.
A lot of Scorpio energy
I got
there.
5 of my 5 placements are Scorpio. Yeah.
Really? Andrew,
Yeah.
do you know yours?
Libra.
Libra sun. Do you know your rising and moon, or?
I don't.
Nick?
Yeah, I'm a sun Virgo with a moon and rising Gemini.
Okay, cool. So we've got like quite a mix of different elements here, haven't we? Guys on TikTok, tell me your sun, moon, and rising if you know them. We can see what we've got going on. I would call it a party, but it's more of a unity than a party, isn't it?
I wanted to say earlier you had mentioned healing, people singing around in a circle and healing certain parts of the body. I've seen videos of certain cultures that can basically meditate or hum or sing and do things like cure cancer, and stuff like that. Literally, like kill it within the body and stuff. I was wondering if that, and I heard it's like maybe like a Reiki kind of thing, or is it something else?
Well, everything has its own frequency, including cancer. And what you do to negate it is you basically feed it its opposite or give it its opposite. So if cancer is like frequency A, imagine like in a musical note, just to see it's the musical note of A. If you give cancer more A frequency, it's building in its own frequency. If you give it its opposite, the opposite comes and it basically goes and negates it, it cancels it out. And so you can feed cancer the frequency that is opposite to whatever it is, it negates it out. And there's something called Rife healing. Have you heard of a Rife machine? This is like I don't know if it uses sound or light, both. It's the same thing like Derek was saying, but it uses frequency to heal you. And so any illness you have, whether it's cancer, whether it's literally just like a fungal nail infection or something, you can find out the frequency of it and you can get this machine and attune it to its opposite frequency and then negate these frequencies out. So people have literally recorded, scientists have recorded people literally like cancer cells dying and being destroyed through frequency. And I think it's so sad that like people like in this day and age truly like think that like going and getting chemotherapy, like that's the only way to cure cancer, which is such poisonous radiation. And that people, you've got like your aunties and your sisters running marathons and raising money for cancer research like they don't already have a cure. I think it's so sad, because if you really learn the truth, you can prevent cancer through your diet and through your lifestyle and stuff. Cancer only survives in an acidic environment. If you turn your environment alkaline, if you do all these frequency healing and stuff, you can literally get rid of cancer in natural ways. Now, it's possible some people have actually tried this and still died with cancer. Maybe that was really just their time they were going to go, but most of the time you can heal yourself through a natural cause. And the fact that they've got people on TV making you feel guilty and sad, saying, oh, 2 in 3 of us die of cancer, run, save, raise money. It's like, raise money for what? For you to carry on lying to everyone, for you to literally like do this every year so that you guys can fill your pockets with money. I think it's just really sad. So I would love to raise like awareness on like true holistic ways to heal, rather than relying on the way that the science has tried to heal you, because some of it's good. If you had a car accident, you may just need the anesthetic and you may need a proper surgery and stuff, but then there's other things that I think we can just really do naturally, and it's really important to empower ourselves and look into these different ways and try them and see how they can benefit us.
There's a TED Talk you would really enjoy. He's a musical instructor, or what's it called when you lead orchestra?
Conductor, I think. A conductor.
And he did a TED Talk, and he discovered if you take that frequency of cancer, it's not just the one, but you have to add in 2 at the same time. Right. And he said it's called the 11th harmonic. And if you 11 times whatever frequency it is you're trying, it will shatter. It will shatter that cell, but it won't affect or harm anything else around it.
Yeah.
So if you tune into that cancer's frequency, multiply it by the 11th harmonic, it just shatters.
That's awesome. And what are musical conductors? They're magicians, aren't they? Because they wave them out and everyone plays this amazing music. Let me see what everyone shared with they've been sharing their star signs, so we'll see what we're joined with. So we've got here Capricorn Sun, Aquarius Moon, and Capricorn Rising. Gemini Sun, Virgo Rising, Sagittarius Moon. Capricorn Sun, Aquarius Moon, Capricorn Rising. Yes. We've got Sun, Taurus, Moon, Gemini, Rising, Sagittarius. L is a Sagittarius, not sure of rising or moon. I've got it somewhere. We've got L, wish I'd known this before, prior to triple negative breast cancer twice, but I healed though. So glad you did. Hydrogen peroxide, 1 minute cure. That's the book I'm reading, what they want to keep away from us. Do you know, there's so many books that I have found that are like secrets that are coming out that they're trying to hide. But all this wisdom is coming back to us now. So Jojo, that's so true, Gabs. The chemo nearly killed me. It was adjuvant and I found second cancer. I'm sorry you had to go through that, Elle. It's horrible that they've done that to us. But the wisdom is coming in. I'm just glad you healed from it. And what we were talking about is an alkaline diet and getting rid of animal products in your system will really, really help. Let's see what if anyone said. So we've got Maureen on YouTube. Sun is Gemini, Moon Taurus. Wow, we've pretty much got like the whole zodiac with us tonight. Did anyone have anything else to share on the healing modalities or anything?
I had one question for the whole group. I asked this to all the people that I would consider to be woke up. Well, were you born and raised in the country and well water versus city water?
Who wants to go first?
Okay, so for me, it's really suburban, so I guess close to cities. Unfortunately, city water. If there was well water, I don't think it was very long, but yeah, mostly city water and suburban living.
I was the same. Andrew?
Yeah, so I was raised in Southeast Texas and I wasn't raised on well water, but yeah, city water.
What about you?
I'm a country boy on a well, so a lot of people I've talked to are on wells. You know, there's so much fluoride in the water. I was just curious.
Yeah.
So I ask a lot of people, just kind of curiosity. And it seems like a lot of people, and maybe it's just in the country and you're bored and you just want to learn stuff. I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah. We've got here Jojo's doing distilled water. That's the thing. Distilling your water is so important. Like I've got a distiller as well. Like it gets rid of so much crap. And when you actually look into the distiller, it is so rank when you see what has been in the
Yeah,
tap water.
yeah, like usually at the end of the month with my distiller as well, like it's like there's so much gunk in it. It's even one point where like it was starting to harden. Like I could even peel it off, and it was like a very fragile wood chip. I even stabbed myself one time just trying to grab it. It's disgusting.
Yeah. When it starts to look like pure shit, you're like, wow, like why did I
Yeah.
not do this sooner? We've got Elle saying city water, looking into hydrogen water. This is the secret. Have you guys heard of that? There's like a particularly charged water. It's
Yeah.
not distilled water, it's actually like plasma charged water or something. Have you tried it?
I haven't personally tried it, but I have heard of it. There's a channel that's, let me try to find the name of the channel because I know Santos Bonacci has spoken about it.
Like Kangen water, is that what you're talking about? The
Yeah.
Kangen water machine?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
And it
Maybe.
shows it separating like the good from the bad or whatever, and you only get the alkaline water.
Yeah. But it's pretty unique because like the water we have now, it only structures like 2 or 3 molecules and it's real rough and jagged. But when you put it through that machine, they cluster in like groups of 8 to 12 and they're perfectly spaced apart, like hexagonal shapes, I think is what they are. But they're like uniform and perfect and just go and happens to be in groups of 12.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I would love to share something that someone told me. Hey, Hare Krishna. Someone told me, well, they didn't. I watched it on a video the other day, and I've not actually looked at the actual experiment, but I was like just so blown away. So you must have heard about the Dr. Emoto experiment with the water, and you talk to it and give it positive intentions stuff. It changes the molecular structure. Well, this woman has gone a step further, and she's taken different types of water, and she says that basically if it's free flowing or if it's been in pipes and it's all jagged and stuff, it changes the structure, and she's managed to freeze it in almost layers so it becomes like a 3D thing. This is what someone's told me. I need to actually look into it to really check, but she said that the tap water just that was like all come through all the different tubes and the jagged edges had no structure, it was shit. She got then some spring water out of like a fresh river and froze it, and she could see leaf shapes in the water, like it's a consciousness, and it's obtained the energy of the leaves and it's now created leaf shape in its own self. And then she's got water from the sea and she's frozen it in this way, and she can see little fish shapes in the sea water.
Right.
And it's like the water just is, it's a container for, it's like the energy. And I've actually eaten seaweed, and I can feel like a wavy ocean energy in me just from eating the seaweed. And then if you eat like animal products, you can feel like a sad cow if you eat a sad cow, because they're sad and you can get the depressed energy of the cow. And so whatever we consume, it contains the energy of like everything that was around it in its whole life and existence. And water's the same. Water has been kind of like holding the energies of these fishes and the leaves. And it's like, what came first, like the water or the fish, or like, is it that the water, the fish is manifested from the water consciousness, or were they two separate things and the water's just mimicking, or it's just picked up its energy of the fish and it's like manifesting in the water? I don't know what it is, but she was talking about how water is a living consciousness, and you can actually like speak to it and ask it to do things and stuff, and you can obviously bliss the water you drink and stuff like that. And there's just so much to learn about it. It's really interesting.
In the Bible, it separates the waters from the water, you know, so if everything is water, God separated the waters from the water, you know, and hydrogen peroxide is just one more hydrogen atom to water, H2O, you know, so the healing of hydrogen peroxide is almost the exact same molecule of H2O, just with an extra hydrogen, I believe.
Right.
One molecule difference.
Yeah, even in like, and here's another interesting thing about water. When it comes to the relationship with our bodies and water. Water, I think most of us probably here know that especially if you already practice things like astral projection, we know that we're not our body, right? We are not this flesh that we are using. And also when it comes to water also acts as an antenna as well. When people are usually dehydrated, what's the one thing they usually do is pass out. I'm sure there's other connections as well. But when it comes to how our consciousness gets transmitted into this body, sure, the brain and the pineal gland very important in that process. The water acts more like the antenna. So that you have a radio, we have the antenna, we have the other processes in the radio, but water is the one that receives that signal. Since water is very programmable as well, if you become dehydrated, you become a little woozy, your mental processes aren't always there. So that's one thing I wanted to add in.
Yeah, it's a conduit of energy, isn't it? And it's also I think that's why it can cleanse you, because it magnetizes negative ions out of your aura. So when they talk about holy water and it being cleansing and stuff, it's literally when you go for a full bath, or you go out in the rain and you literally dunk yourself underwater, it literally just cleanses your aura, because it magnetizes negative ions from your auric field.
Yeah.
You were talking about alkaline environment earlier, and have you ever seen oil on top of water? It floats, right?
Mhm.
They just don't mix. But if you pour oil and alkalized water, they do mix. So if you look at the chrism as the oil in your body, if you have an acidic body, it's going to eat up that oil. It's not going to mix. But if you have an alkaline body, that oil then is mixed properly, and that vibration can raise to the pineal gland.
Right, that's interesting.
Oh, and I just remembered something about distilled water as well. I'm sure how distilled water can also bring out or leach out heavy metal minerals, right?
I didn't know that, but that's good to know.
Oh, but yeah, when it comes to distilled water, I forget the exact charge that distilled water has. I think it might have been negative. But when people who always say when it comes to distilled water is don't drink distilled water because it'll leach the minerals from your body. So, well, that's a half truth. You see, what actually happens is that it does leach off minerals, but it only leaches off heavy metal minerals, not bioavailable minerals, which is what your body does use.
Right.
Whereas distilled water makes sense to me, but I'm pretty sure, well, regardless whichever charge it actually has. For now, I'm just going to say it's negative charged. So distilled and bioavailable minerals are both negatively charged. So, and if we just take two magnets, right? If you try putting the same poles in the same one, they're going to repel. So obviously they're not going to attract. However, put opposite poles. And then of course, if you have heavy metal minerals, which are positively charged, when this water goes to your system, it's going to track that and leach that off. So thus then when you pass it, it takes away the heavy metal minerals from your body and not clogging you up anymore, but leaves the bioavailable ones, the ones that your body does need and use, well enough alone.
Something I would like to share about, do you guys have B12? When you go vegan and stuff, one of the things that I have noticed that is important to have is B12, and people go on about it. But I do have B12 supplements, but there's two different types. One is called methodicalamine, and one's called cyobicalamin or something. So the cyano one has got cyanide in it. So when you take the B12 with the cyocobalamin in, the cyanide in the B12 is poisoning your body with cyanide, and then the B12 tries to bind itself to the cyanide to get rid of it, because B12 binds itself to negative toxins in your system and gets rid of them. But if you're having a I can't remember what it's called, cyocobalamin version, then the B12 binds to the cyanide and it all goes, so you don't have any of the actual B12 left in your system because it's having to fight the cyocobalamin in there. So if anyone is going vegan or anything and you're looking to have B12, or if you're having B12, make sure that you have the methocobalamin one and not the cyocobalamin one, just to share that as well.
In the States, that's all we have. I'm pretty sure the regular B12 is illegal. The synthetic is not, but the synthetic is the one that leaches out the good stuff.
Right.
Yeah. Also, if I recall correctly, I think the natural place where you're supposed to get B12, I'm 99% certain on this, but but I'm sure anyone could go quickly and confirm this. Is that the natural place we're supposed to get B12 from is really from the dirt and the soil, because a lot of the time we're told to constantly wash. Now, not to say that there aren't bad things hanging on the side, like say parasites or whatnot, even on crops, as well as any other nasty particulates hanging onto that. But yeah, the natural B12 we're supposed to get from plants is it actually coated from the soil, and of course, because that gets washed, there goes the B12, and that's why the whole thing of, oh, vegans get B12 deficient because there's no B12 in plants anyway. You can only get it from animals, you can only get it from dairy or whatever. But that's one thing I wanted to quickly slide in.
Yeah, so true. That's the big myth, isn't it? It's like the protein myth and all the other myths that surround going veggie and vegan. But yeah, I'm glad that we've shared all that, because I think that especially like it's veganary like January, so like people might be thinking about it and stuff, and sometimes I've seen people say, oh, I tried veganism and like I got ill, or like it's not for me and stuff. And I just think you need to just know how to do it properly, and almost you need a guide, like someone say, right, okay, if you're going vegan, just make sure that you are like being on top of whatever you're eating, making sure you don't eat shit all the time. Then maybe you'll get ill whether you're or not. Yeah, you can be a junk food vegan, it's not healthy. So you need to learn how to be a healthy, whether you're vegan or not, learn how to eat well, and then you're not going to fail at it. And so I personally believe that everyone can be veggie or vegan, because I believe that God's designed our bodies to be that. I don't believe we're meant to eat meat or animal products. So people say, oh, but I have physical ailments that stop me and stuff. Like, I don't know whether that is true, whether you're just not doing it right, or whether you really do, in which case, like, I'm not sure whether you're going to become enlightened in this lifetime or not, because you just need to clean your spirit of animal spirit. Like when you consume your animal consciousness, it descends your soul to an animal level. So like, I think that for your own sake, just try as hard as you can to see whether you can or not be vegan or veggie, because it'll really, really help your spiritual growth. So don't allow like any kind of thought or block to try and stop you, because people do allow these excuses almost and say, oh, I could never because I've been diagnosed with this. Well, have you had a look online at people who've cured themselves from that through a vegan diet? Like some people just accept their life as their fate, and then they never try and like grow through it and change it. It's something I've noticed as well with like finding out you have ADHD or something. Like with meditation, if you have ADHD, it's possible that you would actually really struggle with meditation more so than someone else, because you can't sit still. And maybe it's because like injections when we were younger have literally caused us to have these different ailments and stuff. But if I find out I have ADHD and then say, I can never meditate because I've got ADHD and that's just my label now and that's just how I am, so I will never try. Well, then you're allowing this label to block you and stop you. I would rather say I have ADHD and I will learn to meditate and sit and work harder than everyone else to get to that point, because I'm not going to allow it to be a limit and a block on me. And I think it's when people get these labels, they can sometimes go, oh, well, I am the way I am because of that. And then that's where they choose to stop. But I just think never let the label stop you. Just always try and go, I might have this label, but I'm going to use it and try and do better anyway. And just never like stop somewhere.
Mhm.
So as much as I love the Bible, this is where I find I get so bent out of shape with certain Christians that say that take a word or as literal. But Genesis 1:29, I've given you every herb yielding a seed, which face of the earth, every tree in which the fruit of a tree yielding a seed shall be your fruit, or your food. I'm sorry. I mean, it's right there in the very first Genesis 1:29. No meat, it's fruit and seeds, yielding of a tree, yield of the earth. And it can't be any more blunt than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, And they say as well that when it says Jesus fed the fish, like he fed 5,000 people with a fish, it's like, no, he fed them with like a watermelon. A watermelon, of course, could feed 5,000 because you can grow more and more seeds and plants. It's an abundant food. Fruit was always like what it was talking about. How could he possibly feed that 5,000 people with a fish if that's the correct story? I've not read the Bible, so I don't remember exactly, but like every time it's talked about things like that, it's always been about fruit that's abundant and always giving, like that could really feed as many people as possible. So again, like it's all been changed and manipulated or just taken in the incorrect way, some of it, hasn't it?
Yeah, he said to cast your net to the right side of the boat. That's the right hemisphere of the brain. And then I can't remember the exact number of fish. I want to say it's like 126. Well,
Right.
that adds up to 9.
Okay. And they also talk about the fish being the Christ oil as well, don't they? Because they say that one of the oils, or the Christ oil, has like a fishy smell.
Fishy smell.
I don't know how
Yeah.
you would know that, but
And
Yeah.
also, well, when they talk about fish, I'm fairly certain they're also talking about Pisces as well.
yes.
Pisces is also the dreamer. It's
The Vesca Pisces is the flat seed of life.
Yeah.
And Pisces obviously being the age when Christ was here anyway.
Yeah, Pisces was the age of faith, whereas now the age of Aquarius is the age of knowing, the age
Yeah.
of information.
Or the age of yesing. I like to say yes, like I yes that rather than I know that, because I feel like you always cast a spell. The word no is always a no. If you say no to something, you do not want that. And what I find interesting about Aquarians is their favorite saying is I know, like I know it all. I'm an Aquarius, so I know that we do that. But Saturn governs Aquarius, and Saturn is block and Saturn is no. So it's like, has Saturn tricked Aquarians into saying I know? You think you know it all, but you're actually saying I block and stop things. So I know about spirituality, or I know spirituality. You're saying I know spirituality. So are you casting that spell? And it's like Saturn's playing a fool on you game. And instead I like to say now, oh yes, I yes spirituality, because I accept it and invite it in rather than casting that spell.
I will have to say thanks, Gabby, for putting this together. I appreciate it. Everything, getting all of us together. I thought I was pretty good at seeing all those things, but since watching your TikToks, it's amazing. Now I'm actually implementing it into your like good morning, even though I know it's not correct. I know the meaning behind it. It's just muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
But since watching you and following you, I mean, it helps to implement it, right? When you're scrolling through TikTok and just, hey, do better.
That's the thing, is like it's all fine to like share like wisdom and knowledge and stuff, but how do you actually put it into your own lives? And that's the key, isn't it? Like what does that mean then? Like what am I meant to do with that information? You need to you need to always know how you can actually better your life with the information, otherwise it's literally just information. So I think it's always important to teach like how you can actually like live it, and live it rather than just knowing it or yesing it.
Well,
Yeah.
also, if you take the word know, it also goes into the word knowledge, whereas knowledge, if you want to put it this way, like no ledge, you don't have a ledge, you don't have a boundary as well.
Yes. And also gnosis is no sis, like the feminine divine wisdom, like Sophia is wisdom. So you have no sis, none of the feminine or whatever. It's like again saying you've got no wisdom. So like this word gnosis, is that the right word? Is no ledge the right word? You've got no ledge to stand on. Or no stick, I'm a Gnostic, but you've got no stick, and your staff is like Hermes' staff. It grounds you to the earth. It helps you like have a spine almost. It's like a representation of the tree of life. So all these words is like, is that the actual right word, or are these like the words that are wrong?
I think, I don't know, for me right now, with what I know right now, it's really, I don't think they're outright bad. I think it's just our understanding of them as well, because I also think it's interpretation or like intent as well. Like I said, with no ledge, you don't have a ledge, as in like you don't have a limit. Because if you go to a ledge on a cliffside, if you go off the ledge, you fall, and then there goes your bones.
Yeah.
So I unfortunately I can't really explain as to how like these could also be good as well. I'm sure there is an explanation.
I get
Understanding and understanding.
Yeah,
Like you're not going to stand under something or under someone's opinion. Go in and find the truth yourself.
yeah, yeah, and that's also like with understanding it. Yeah, Derek's also right. But you could also view it as when you understand something, you stand under it, doesn't like you carry it. So say you want to say you understand the Bible, you now have the privy or not privy the understanding to stand under it and carry it up and hold it upwards and show the knowledge to the world because you understand it.
Ironically enough, though, the Tower of Babel that was too close to heaven, well, God gave mankind language to separate them, to knock down the Tower of Babel to keep them from reaching the heavens. And then when somebody's rambling on, they're babbling. And Babel is this Bible, B-I-B-L-E-B-A-B, Bible, babble. It's babbling in metaphors and parables.
Yeah. There's
Also,
go on.
I was gonna say also, it just occurs to me, no sis, you can also be viewed as no sin, like you don't have any sin. Yeah.
That's true. That's true. What I was thinking with the Babel or the languages, I've seen a really interesting. Have you guys seen Dave? And I'm trying to think what his last name is, but he's kind of on Santos's level. Is Dave Murphy, I think, and he talks about like flat Earth. He's done a really good talk, like a debate against a physicist about flat Earth and stuff. But he's done a video called
David Weiss?
No, he's called Dave Murphy, I think. He's done a video about like the secret power of language, yeah. And in his video, he believes that babies are born being fluent in an ancient Hebrew language that we don't remember anymore, and that all babies speak this language, and the vowels and the sounds that they speak are actually this ancient language. And then what happens is we don't speak that language, so that they have to learn our language, but they are all communicating in this language. And he's shown videos of babies fully talking to each other like they know what they're saying, but also that these certain syllables like ma and pa and ba and stuff, that ba is like the letter B and it means like certain things. And the language was almost like Egyptian. You know how the symbols are like a symbol of what the word means. So it's a stronger language than just the English language, because you can read a load of letters, but you can't see what that word means. But with a symbol language, you can actually see what the word means as well as the word actually being. So this ancient Hebrew language, these like syllables mean certain things, and he's fully saying that babies are born speaking it. And I thought that would be so interesting if that is true. You'd have to check it out. Yeah, Dave Murphy on YouTube. The actual documentary is so interesting.
Yeah, I've heard that English is Hebrew backwards. That's why it's how the witchcraft or the grimoires work.
Yeah, and have you seen reverse speech?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I did an interview with a guy on reverse speech. He was like showing me loads of amazing stuff. And then what I thought was, I'm going to listen to my songs backwards and see what my soul's been saying. And half of me was so scared that I'd be some secret Satan worshiper. And my soul was like, yeah, no, like this. And I was like scared of what I'd find. And then like what I found, I was like so embarrassed with what my soul was going on about, because I'd just recently tried DMT for the first time. And then like in my song, my soul's like, I took the DMT like this, and I was like laughing so much. Like my reverse speech was my soul going, I took DMT. Like I thought, don't tell everyone these secrets. And then it was talking about how like I will always walk the steps no matter what, no matter how hard it is, I'm going to keep walking up those steps. And I was like, damn, like it's just really cool, because reverse speech is real, and it really does, like it is our soul expressing itself, like in a way. It's just really interesting. You can do therapy and reverse, tell your life story and reverse it, and you can see what your true soul is trying to tell you as a message and stuff.
Your throat chakra, if you don't speak your truth, you can close off your throat. Your throat chakra, you have blockages, I think a lot of people don't speak truth anyways, let alone when they're trying to speak truth, not knowing the words they're saying are hindering them.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it?
DMT's awesome though, right?
I had the worst experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just wasn't, I didn't like respect it. I didn't do like a full blown, like, I should have done like a ceremony. So I should have sat down, meditated, like put music on, did a little incense, like just really got in this zone and been like, okay. And I also should have done more shadow work before I did it as well. So I just got stuck. I didn't end up leaving my body. I got stuck in this, like in my mind, like in this realm before I could even like evacuate. And I was just trapped in like this chaos of like thoughts and like everything going on at once in the room. And it was like, that was what my mind was like. I wasn't meditating and stuff. It was just showing me that my mind was so chaotic. I was always had things on my mind, and I never just sat and stilled my mind. And so I literally had to go and physically be in that mental space of chaos. And it scared the shit out of me because I just had no control, and I was just like really wanting it to stop and stuff. And so like I was really hoping to just go and meet God and meet all the angels and ride on unicorns and stuff. But I didn't end up leaving my body. I just got stuck here. And so everyone's going on about how amazing it is. And I was just like, yeah, I definitely need to take it more seriously, like, and respect it. I think respect the plant, respect like DMT and the
It's a teacher.
Yeah. But I learned that I really need to like meditate more. And so I've done that a lot since. And just really kind of seeing the clutter around me and how it's really just come from my mind and stuff. So it taught me so much, but it wasn't an experience that I was wanting. But it was.
Those are needed. Those
Yeah.
are needed.
Yeah. So does anyone have any unicorn stories then?
Rainbow bridges, I think. Rainbow bridge inside of a kaleidoscope, if that makes sense.
That's really cool.
It's cool because the color spectrum changes. So it's like anything that, I don't know, it shatters your perception of reality. It's like an extra little dazzle on that ego death, you know?
Yeah, Jojo said I've come back, thankfully. Yeah. So Ella said, that's really interesting, Gabby. It's like Cinderella's story is real life in reverse.
It's also a rule when it comes to etymology and finding out the key root of words is don't just like look at words, forward and back, but also read them backwards. Example being like you have the word math, right? It's math. Backwards, it's like tham or hatam, which is also atom, which is also atum, and it's also which also leads back to Adam, and even actually it leads back to atum, but because the Egyptians had an saying, and they pretty much repeated it almost ad nauseum, is all is atum, everything comes from atom, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the most basic building block of the universe? It's atoms, the torus field, right? And every single word in every single language, doesn't matter which language it is, it all goes back to that one root word, which is atum. Like the three most important words is atum, bull, and
Tor.
There we go. Yeah.
Even like anagrams of stuff, like the word life is an anagram of the word file. And it's like your life is like a file in the Akashic records. Each life you put in is a little file, and it's like a little experience and stuff. And even anagrams of words just work so well, don't they? They all kind of connect energetically.
Like palms and lamp.
Yes.
And Psalms in the Bible, the book of Psalms.
Yes.
Even the phrases like DNA, which is Aden, if you rearrange it, it's DNA. Put the A at the front, then you got Adam, atom, and even like words like Neo. Like I think most of us here probably might know this one already. Neo, the one.
Yeah.
One is also Adon, atom. There you go. So if you want to find the worth of anything, don't just read it backward or forward, but also read it backwards.
Hey, Gabby, I actually have to take off. Thank you so much for having me and everything like that. I just wanted to say I did get a new home, and I was asking if you guys could like bless my home. if
Yeah.
possible, like send me some prayers and stuff like that, man. And then what does the bottom of your little walking stick look like? Does it have rubber on the bottom, or is it
It's
just like wood?
Yeah, it's literally just like wood, like cut at the end. And a rubber, they say that it blocks the electrical connection.
That's how you.
Yeah, I think it should, but I've got a metal walking stick with a rubber end, and it still conducts. So I think if it's a strong like thing, like maybe metal, it still connects to the earth and charges because the auric field expands outside of the rubber stopper. But with wood, they do say try and have a natural end. I would try it. But yeah, like staffs are just so good. You need to get yourself a staff if you haven't already.
All right,
But
thank you. See you later, guys.
of course.
See you.
Thanks so much for joining. See ya. I was going to say as well, this is a last thing. We can just say maybe like a last thing each and then head off. But I'm actually going to try and do a video about this. But you know, like, have you heard of the sword and the stone story with Arthur and Merlin and stuff? And where in the Bible it talks about Jesus's sword was his tongue, like the word, and the word sword is like word, so maybe it's like your secret word or your magic words is like your sword or your weapon. And with the sword and the stone, the word stone is saint one. So the sword, pulling like the sword out or whatever, it's like this secret word, this magic word to becoming the saintly one or the saintly neo, you know, to like basically to become like the ascended master. So using magic or the word to become an ascended master. And it came to me the other day, and I thought it would be interesting if that story is like that as well, because obviously if Merlin hung out with Arthur, Merlin's there with all his magic and stuff, it's possible that it's also like a bit of a metaphor teaching you that your words and your magic can make you become that saintly one.
Yeah, Merlin and Mercury as well, and also Mercury rules Gemini as well, and also another thing in terms of the Taurus field and the hyperbola, the sword and the stone would be Gemini, since Gemini is, so we have the Taurus field, right?
Yeah.
And all across the Taurus field, in terms of the circle around, is the zodiac wheel. Gemini would be somewhere. It's hard to point it out with my fingers, but if you look at the symbol of Gemini, it's it's the 2, right?
Yeah.
And it's right there in the hyperbola. So right there is already the story. And at least in this sense, because I also think you also could be right as well with what you said, but like with anything, it's multi-layered. So Excalibur would be that hyperbola that's in the stone, which is the Taurus field as well, standing right there in the plane of inertia. And also it's funny because the connection because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, so there's already Merlin with King Arthur, and King Arthur also being the sun going through the zodiac and being the sun being the king as well. Just wanted to quickly add that in.
Yeah, and they say that the sword had a golden handle as well, which I was like, this is the sun energy.
Yeah, and considering how Gemini is right at the end of spring, right before the summer as well, which starts in Cancer at the Tropic of Cancer.
Kitty on TikTok said people talk about having a sharp tongue as well, which again is the sword being the tongue and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a great point, because in Hebrew, S was related to the fire element. So if you put S, not only is it a sword, but you're adding that fire to the word. So your words are now fire or fiery.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so good. So shall we leave it there then? We could have stopped it at 22:22 here, but it's 22:32, so it's going to be 22:33 soon, which will be a good time to stop it. What time is it with you guys? Like, it looks late for you there, Nick.
Yeah, I don't have
32.
Yeah, 5:32 for me as well.
PM.
Yep, PM.
That's all right then. So was this an all right time for us to have started today, or would you prefer to start calls later next time?
No, this was a pretty good time actually. Yeah, so like, what time did we start? We started like maybe around, I think 2, or roughly around 2.
22:33 it is. Right, so yeah, perfect. So what I'll do is, guys, TikTok, YouTube, thanks so much for joining us. we're gonna head off, but we're gonna do the third chapter sometime. I'm not sure when. I will let you guys know. And what I'll do is, if you want to join us on the actual Zoom chat next time, then just leave your details on my website. It's gabbyzakara.co.uk, and then you can leave your details on there, or just find me on Instagram or Facebook and message me with them, and then I'll send you the link so you can actually join in the conversation next time. So thanks for being so awesome. We've really loved reading all your comments. Thanks to Derek for being awesome in the chat moderator. You've done such a good job. I told you before, but you really have. Like, I really appreciate it. So thank you for that. And obviously for Derek and Nick for joining us, and everyone else that did tonight too. Yeah, YouTube, lots of love. And let's us three, when we go, we'll send Andrew all the blessings for his new house, and if anyone else wants to as well, we'll do that for him too. And yeah, unity and love, guys. We'll speak soon.